All right, guys, what is going on? Welcome to Press X Podcast. I think this is episode 46. Thank you guys so much for being here with me and taking time out of your day to come hang out and listen to me talk a little bit about some things that are going on around the gaming industry, some PlayStation and Xbox stuff. I appreciate all of the kind words you guys have been sending my way recently. Obviously, a lot going on. So, yeah, I think today's episode, excuse me, I can't make any promises. I don't know how long it's going to be. I don't know how energetic it's going to be. I'll give you guys a little bit of an update on what's going on before we dive into it. But we do certainly have some topics to go over and discuss. And I also want to be sure to give my special shout out to my upper tier members who are helping me out during this time. So let me do that really quickly. So I have to give a special exclusive shout out to the Play Has No Limits Plus tier. So shout out to Junior Jackson, Tam 1982X, and D Luffy. Thank you guys so much for really going above and beyond to support me directly here. And then we have the Play Has No Limits tier. So special shout out to Brandon Chad Perez, Matt Wheatley, Alpha Acer, Brittany Goes Meow, Adrian Pollard, Sayin JT, Jeffrey Hicks, Big Norman 0518, Michael Bradley, Tyson Webb 509, MH, and Shaky Shako, or Shako, I guess, however you say that. But yeah, thank you guys so much for again, going above and beyond to support me directly here. Let me bring this back up. I'm going to give you guys just a quick update, just to let you know what's going on and so you can kind of know what to expect with the channel. We have a super chat from Fireax. You're saying, great to see you doing the podcast today. I love having it in the background while doing other stuff, cooking, housework, gaming, etc. Stay strong. Thank you so much for that, man. I will certainly do that, and I'm glad you are enjoying the podcast. So just to give you guys a quick update, I did get some good news recently. I talked in my video, and I'm gonna try my best, not to dwell on it too much during the podcast. But me and my wife got some good news that the virus that my son currently has did not make its way to his brain, which is probably the most significant news and certainly the biggest relief we could ask for. So that's great, and that certainly has gone a long way in making us feel a lot better, and also all the support you guys have been showing. It's still a long road ahead. It's not going to be easy. There's still a lot of, I don't want to say uncertainty. I mean, there still is some uncertainty for sure, but there's a long road ahead. A lot of medical bills, because if you live in America and you've ever had to go to the hospital, it can, or you ever have an accident, it can be rough. So, I just wanted to let you guys know that. So, that is going to go a long way in making it easier for me to continue to create content here on the channel. And that's what I plan to do. So hopefully you guys will stick around for that. But to get into the podcast topics, I'm going to give you a quick rundown of what we're going to discuss. The first thing I want to discuss is the whole Xbox Live situation, because I know that my title and my thumbnail may seem aggressive, but frankly, I don't think it is. I think this is exactly the situation, and I definitely have more to say about it. I was very restrained in my video yesterday, but I do have more to say on it. And yeah, so we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the Hitman 3 situation, because that's something that's been thrown my way a lot. Understandably so. There was a comparison done between the PS5 and Xbox Series X version, where the Series X has an edge, finally. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. We're going to talk about some of the secret, unannounced PlayStation 5 titles that are being worked on by some of Sony studios. We're going to talk about Resident Evil 8 and how it apparently runs great on the PS5. Who would have thought? I'm sure you guys remember the rumors that we were hearing last year where it was struggling to even run at 1080p 60 frames per second. So definitely going to talk a little bit about that. And we're going to talk a little bit about Resident Evil 4 Remake. Not too much about it, but we do have an interesting update regarding this title that just kind of came out of nowhere. So yeah, things have been kind of dry this entire month, it seems. I'm sure you guys have noticed. PlayStation has pretty much done that thing again where they're like, hey, we're just gonna kind of go into hiding, and we'll come out when we're ready. So yeah, we definitely Devil Shooter, you're saying timestamps may be late today. That's no problem, buddy. I just appreciate you doing that. The truth is, this podcast probably isn't going to last too long. It's definitely not going to go into the 2 and 2.5 hour territory. I simply don't have the time. But I definitely want to make sure that we can, keep it going here and have a conversation about some of the stuff that's going on. So let me bring up the gameplay here. Give me 1 sec. I'm going to have to actually move my webcam as well. So give me 1 second while I do that. I'll move it, I think, up here in the corner. I think that'll work. I think this is a pretty decent format. A lot of you guys did enjoy the podcast last week where I did go on camera, and I think we kind of agreed on doing some type of hybrid situation. So as of right now, this is the best I can do. So let me know what you think about it. But we are going to dive into the first topic, and the first topic has to do with the Xbox Live situation. Yesterday I was talking about this in a video, and I kind of said, like, look, maybe this is some type of PR stunt that Microsoft is trying to pull. This is some type of PR thing that they're doing, and it was calculated. But I started looking into it a little bit more, and some people were kind of pointing out some things that make you realize this was definitely not a calculated PR stunt, which is concerning to me, because at least if, Microsoft was trying to do this to, kind of bring some goodwill their way and make people kind of, cheer them on and be like, look, they're so pro consumer. They listen to us. I'm feeling like they would have not worked late on a Friday night. I mean, that's just one thing that people were mentioning. I'm like, okay, maybe, yeah, it is weird, the timing of it. But I was made aware of the fact that apparently they actually did ship out these 6-month, $60 Xbox Live cards to retailers. And that made me realize, okay, this is definitely not a calculated PR stunt. And to be honest, even just, entertaining that notion, I mean, in my opinion, it's like something that generates this much backlash, even if you do reverse it and there are some people cheering you on, it still like doesn't make sense why you would want to do that purposely. You know what I mean? Like, why would you want to get negative press purposely? So I was a little bit like, I think I was just being a little bit too conspiratorial. And so the reason why I think it's important to acknowledge that we can kind of scratch off this idea that it was a calculated PR stunt, I think we can scratch that off the list here, because it's just so concerning when you think about all of the screw ups that Team Xbox has had this past generation, even going into this generation, where it's like they hyped up the 12 T-flops of power just to have their console basically be outperformed initially anyway, even if it's slightly, by the, supposedly weaker console. They didn't have a launch lineup. Yeah, seeing Craig and what happened with Halo Infinite. I mean, it really is like, wow, you guys were actually going to try to screw your fans over. And when you take into account the fact that Xbox Live has been and is still free on PC, talk about trying to completely take advantage of and screw over your console fan base. The biggest slap to the face. I understand that they reversed it, but when you look at the response that the internet had, Microsoft had no choice but to reverse it because they were about to lose a lot of Xbox Live subscribers. Sir Speaks a Lot, you're saying, come on, MBG, you have the camera right there. All you need to do is take off your socks and raise up those feet for us. Do it for us and the Soviets. Not going to happen, man, but hey, I do appreciate your super chat. You're always bringing yourself in here, Sir Speaks a Lot, and distracting me. Primal Plasma, you're saying, is it possible that Microsoft is intentionally trying to destroy the Xbox brand? Maybe they aren't making money from gaming. No, that's definitely way too conspiratorial, because they would gain nothing from trying to destroy the brand, because at the very least, what they could do if they wanted, obviously I'm talking about these topics a little bit out of order, as you can tell by the background B-roll footage, but at the very least, what Microsoft could do if they wanted to, they could at least sell off the Xbox brand. And, trying to hurt the Xbox brand would not help them in that endeavor to sell it off or spin it off. It would make it harder to sell the Xbox brand. But, a lot of people were saying that, the reason why Microsoft was going to up the price of Xbox Live is to make the appeal of Xbox Live Ultimate, which comes with Game Pass, look like the better deal. And I get that. Still a very, very stupid thing to do. It's just stupid. You know what I mean? Like, what blows my mind the most here, guys, is the amount of people who are cheering Xbox on. Like, for the love of God and all that is holy, please stop. Okay? People are trying to throw in my face and the face of those who are like really not happy that Microsoft tried to pull this off. They're like, well, Sony's charging $70 for games and that's anti-consumer. Who said it was pro-consumer? I don't recall. I don't recall who came out here and said, Sony deciding to charge $70 for their high quality AAA first party titles. That's pro-consumer. Who said that? I didn't say that. I wasn't cheering them on. But at least Sony has a bit of justification on their side when it comes to this situation, right? At least they can point to the overall quality of their games. And on top of that, they're not forcing you to buy their games. There's an inherent difference here between the idea of pay $70 for a video game, a high quality one at that, and pay $120 a year for a service that's required to access any multiplayer title. Look, I get it. Yes, it's great. It's great that Microsoft reversed it and they immediately listened to the backlash. And now they even decided to make free-to-play games free. As crazy as that sounds, I'm happy for that. But we cannot sit here and pretend that this was not an extremely aggressive and egregious move made by an out-of-touch corporation that was completely trying to take advantage of their fan base, because that's exactly what it was. And to try to paint it any other way, well, I think you're just a fool for doing that, because you're basically just telling them that, hey, this is okay. It's not okay. Good job, I guess, for doing the right thing when you should have done it in the first place, right? Rory, you're saying, do you think we'll get a state of play in Q1? I would have to imagine so. I mean, Sony is being very quiet. There is like no hype right now for PlayStation, and that's just the truth. As you can see, the struggle has been real on the channel, and I know that other PlayStation content creators, we're all trying to find, different things. There has been things to talk about, but the hype after December basically just kind of went down, and I think that's understandable, because right now Sony is more focused on trying to have enough PlayStations to sell, rather than building up the hype to convince people to go out and buy PlayStations. There's plenty of people who want to buy PlayStations right now. There's just not enough to go around. So I think Sony might still be quiet for a little while. Also, I do want to let you guys know, you may hear the, kind of like a buzzing sound in the background sometimes, like periodically. It's because I'm like right above my heating, just my ventilation, and the heat is running, so you might hear that. I do apologize, but I suspect Sony's going to have to do some type of state of play. I mean, I don't know. At the very least, I feel like they're going to have to do one for Returnal. Returnal's a game that they are selling for $70, and it's questionable if that game's going to sell well at $70. And so I think it's going to be very important for them to really show that game off in a big way to convince people like, hey, this is worth $70. But getting back to the whole Xbox Live thing, as I said, it's great that they did what they should have done. But I mean, people need to understand just like how terrible what they tried to do actually is. Because if you think for a second that if they actually stuck with that pricing scheme, $120 a year for Xbox Live, if you think for a second that Sony and Nintendo weren't going to immediately follow that, I mean, at that point, Sony could charge $100 a year for PS Plus, and it would still be less. Sony could still say, well, we're still less than the competition, right? And it just blows my mind. And I love how, like, Phil Spencer came out and, like, apologized. Like what are you guys doing? That's how out of touch you guys actually are, that you just have a bunch of yes men there and women just saying, yes, okay, yeah, this is good, this is great. Just like, I mean, honestly, how out of touch do you actually have to be? I just think I had to really sit back and marinate on this to just kind of fully understand, like, holy hell, man, like, you guys were actually going to do this. You were actually going to do this. And it took literally the entire gaming community to band together as a whole collectively and say, what the F is actually wrong with you? For you guys to suddenly be like, you know what? We're listening to you. We hear you, right? I want to go to the Xbox Twitter account because I want to read what they put out. Because it's comical, man. Like, I know that they have to word it this way, but it's just, how do you even set yourself up for situations like this where you have to backpedal in such a ridiculous looking way? The They said today was not great. I guess they're implying it's still good. We always try to do our best for you, and today we missed the mark. We hear you, and we're revising our Xbox Live Gold pricing updates to bring Xbox Live more in line with how we see the player at the center of their experience. We will be removing gold requirements for free-to-play games. We're starting work on that immediately, and we'll have updates in the coming months. Like, what the... To get realigned with the player at the center, it just goes to show, guys, the reason why I'm going in so hard on this right now is because there has been something I've been trying to stress for literally like a year and a half now, and that is do not fall for Microsoft's marketing. Try not to fall for any marketing, but when it comes to Xbox in particular, their marketing is always something you should not ever bet on, ever, because you will get screwed over every single time. Every single time. Okay? That's just how it works with Microsoft, whether it's with games, consoles, services. Doesn't matter. You're going to get screwed every time. They want to try to tell you, they want to market to you for weeks at a time. Like every week, they're basically doing the same marketing. But for years, the players at the center were all about connecting everybody. It's about the gamer. In fact, it's so much about the gamer that we're going to double the price of Xbox Live. Yeah, that's right. We're going to double the price. Oh, what? You don't want that? That's bad? Oh no. I guess maybe we didn't really understand what having the player at the center really meant. We thought it meant asking for more money and try to wring you of as much money as we can. We're so sorry. We're not going to do that now. Like, what? I'm telling you, this is like Microsoft, not Microsoft. The people who run the Xbox division revealed their true colors. If they haven't already in the past, which they have many times, but especially now, they've revealed their true colors. You know, they have pretty much come out here and made it clear that like the gamer's not at the center. Like, just don't fall for this bull. Don't fall for the BS, man, because that's all it is with them. It's smoke and mirrors. They want you to think they're your friend. They're not your friend. And Sony isn't your friend either. Just being real. These are corporations who want your money. At least Sony is like, yeah, we're charging $70. And that's just the way it's going to be because we believe in our quality and we think it's worth $70. That's it. You know? And sure, I'm not saying we should cheer them on for that, but they're not the ones coming out here trying to double the price of their freaking, multiplayer paywall. True Witty, you're saying it's not a publicity stunt. They took away the $60 a year Live months ago. It's been in motion. They need money, and they will get it from hiking Game Pass, I promise. Yeah, they're going to like, what's crazy to me is that they did just suddenly remove the free-to-play paywall, because to me, that's a situation where it's like, yeah, you're definitely going to lose money now. Like, you went from basically trying to double your money to now you're going to lose money. So something's going to have to give. And I wouldn't be surprised if that's what we end up seeing is a significant price hike to Game Pass. I think that's the next thing that's in line. Nintendo Power, you're saying just got my replacement PS5 under warranty. Glad to hear that, man. Glad to hear that. No, Jay Thanos, I do report bad news from Sony, but let me ask you, what has the bad news been recently from Sony? The only bad news from Sony has been people can't buy PS5s, and that's not the worst news in the world. That's going to be fixed in a matter of months. Heisenberg, thank you for the donation, buddy. You're saying blatant PR stunt to show they're listening and showing goodwill in one move. It's a ploy to hook in more players, then raise the price of Game Pass. Yeah, that would be an interesting one. I mean, look, I don't believe at this point it's a PR stunt. I will say the immediate turnaround, specifically looking at the fact that they just like that, free to play, paywall's gone. Like, that is very abrupt. That's basically them saying we're going to lose a bunch of money now, because there's a lot of people who only play Warzone, who only play Apex, and they were paying Xbox Live Gold. Now that they don't have to, they basically lost an Xbox Live Gold subscriber. So I think that maybe if it wasn't a PR stunt, which I don't think it was, Heisenberg, I think at the very least what it may have been is the backlash was so intense and so swift that they made a very quick executive decision. Okay, instead of raising the price of Xbox Live, we're going to have to raise the price of Xbox Game Pass. I don't necessarily know if that was the plan the whole time. It may have been, but yeah, I don't know, man, whether it was a PR stunt. The thing is, if it was a PR stunt, I don't understand why they would actually remove the 12-month, Xbox Live cards and then ship out 6-month $60 Xbox Live cards. That's a lot of footwork, and that's going really out of their way for a PR stunt. I'll put it that way. But thank you for that generous donation, buddy. The Mark Shark, you're saying screw medical bills. You might as well rename your community Canada because we will not stand for this. We love PlayStation, Kratos, haptic feedback, Joel, Mark Cerny, and BG's feet. And I'm putting my money where my mouth is. Thank you so much for the generous donation, man. I really do appreciate that. I mean, I don't normally do this, but there is a little bit of a struggle right now. So, if you feel so inclined and you really want to help support the channel and help me during this difficult time, feel free to donate a super chat, buy some merch, consider becoming a member. And if you can't do any of that, because I don't expect it, try to hit the like button on the podcast. Just watch the content, interact with the content. That helps a lot. Just try to help out in any way you can, because I really could use it right now, more so than most other times. And you guys know I don't normally ask like that, and I feel extremely uncomfortable doing so, but I'll put it to you this way. I would not be asking if it wasn't a more serious situation that I'm in right now. David Gaines, thank you so much, man. That is very kind of you. Very kind donations you guys are showing me right now. You're saying I'm late. Hope all is well. Need Sony to come out and support the storage expansion because the leading games ain't it. Xbox backlash was too heavy for them not to make that change. Yeah, talking about the storage expansion, believe it or not, I have actually run into this problem recently where I realized I don't have enough storage, and I'm just like, I wasn't expecting it to happen that quickly. It does suck to have to, look at your games and you're like, well, I don't want to delete this, but something's got to go. I do agree that Sony has been, I think, too quiet for too long about the storage expansion, but I have to assume we're going to have to hear something soon because there's a lot of people right now who are probably deleting games and having trouble. So I hope we do hear about that soon. I have to imagine it'll be sooner rather than later, certainly in the next month or two, right? Maybe not, though. I don't know. That'd be weird if we didn't. But yeah, I do agree. The backlash for this whole situation was just insane for Microsoft. I do agree. They could not move forward with that. Even if they, it's just crazy to me. It's just crazy to me that Phil Spencer signed off on that and said, yeah, put it out there. How could you be that out of touch, man? That's just crazy to me. Welcome to the channel, Lawrence. Thank you so much for becoming a member. That really helps me out a lot. Look forward to your exclusive perks. Get your weekly shout out here on the podcast through the credit roll. And thank you so much, man. Really appreciate it at a time like this. I always appreciate it, but especially now at a time like this, you guys are really pulling through for me. Nintendo Power, you're saying should have seen Nate the hate shilling for Microsoft on Spawncast last night. You don't double lives cost to push Game Pass. That's a sign of desperation. I don't know who that is. I think I know the Spawncast. I'm not sure who that is, but I don't think anybody should be frankly trying to justify the move that Microsoft made. If you want to say thank you, not thank you, I don't think you should be saying thank you, but if you want to be appreciative of the fact that Microsoft did listen and they did act so swiftly, I think that's okay, because if you are an Xbox fan, yeah, that was a close one, right? That was a close one. I'm glad they reacted and responded so quickly, because that could have been worse. That could have been worse. They could have stuck with it. I understand if you want to feel relieved. It's up to you if you want to feel thankful for Microsoft for actually reversing it. But frankly, for me, I think your best feeling is to have a feeling of relief, because yeah. And it goes to show the power of the gaming community, right? This is why we have to hold their feet to the fire during times like this, right? Where it's you need to listen. You need to listen and realize how out of touch you are. And if that is what happened, then I'm at least thankful that, okay, they're they're very dense and out of touch over there at Microsoft, but they're not so dense and so out of touch that they're completely failing to realize that we need to change this right now. We have Jonathan. Thank you so much for the generous super chat. Thank you all so much for the super chats. Really, it really means a lot. I can't stress that enough. You're saying hope this helps. Best wishes. Well, you know what? You don't have to hope. I can confirm to you it does help tremendously at a time like this. So thank you so much, man, and thank you for the best wishes. It just so happens that the day I put out that video, and you guys really came out and forced, giving me your best wishes and trying to uplift me and my family. It just so happens that was the same day we got our first piece of good news. So all the prayers, all of the good vibes. I don't know if that's what caused it, but it came at the right time. And so, yeah, that was awesome to see. That was really powerful. So thank you guys so much for that. And we also have Sean DeLuca. You're saying, hope things turn around for you, bud. Always enjoy your content. Thank you so much, man. Appreciate the super chat. Yeah, I'm trying. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I'm trying really hard to be optimistic. It's difficult. I know that you guys understand this. Anybody who goes through difficult times, it can be really difficult to maintain the positivity, and you kind of have to force it. And it's a challenge, and you have to kind of like force yourself no matter what to just try to see the good. And that's why I wanted to do this podcast. That's why I'm coming back to, I'm just trying to grind out content no matter what. Not only because frankly, like, me and my family rely on the support of this channel, like, just being completely blunt, but because it helps me, like, it gives me an outlet, a distraction. It takes my mind off of things, and it also makes me feel like I'm being productive and I'm doing something. The worst feeling in the world, the worst feeling in the world, in life in general, is the feeling of helplessness. And interacting with my channel, being here right now with you guys, doing the podcast, making videos, even though it's not going as great. I mean, this podcast is going great thanks to you guys, but even though it's not going as great as I would like it to right now, I'm still just eternally thankful for the support I do get, and it helps me a lot. If it wasn't there, I'd be in a much worse way. And so you guys are making a difference. And thank you so much, Primal Plasma, for that $20 donation. That is very generous of you, very kind of you. Helps me a lot right now. Thank you so much, man. Yakarumi, you're saying, what's up, bro? Hope your day is going, I'm assuming you meant to say well so far. And how is your kid doing? Much love. He's doing better. We're getting through it. We're not in the eye of the storm anymore. We're still in the storm. We're not in the eye of the storm. I don't want to say this because I feel like I'm jinxing myself, but I think the worst may be over. But there's still a long road ahead. And, it's just trying to take the little wins you can get each day. The big wins, sometimes you get used to the big wins, and you take them for granted until you really like hit a bad point. And then you realize you got it. It's the little things. It's the little things. It's the little wins. And again, I'm trying not to go too much off on that during this podcast. And I try not to make things too personal on the channel, because the reality is, guys, like, people come to my channel. I know that a lot of you are here for me, as a person, MBG as a person. And that means so much to me. I can't even put that into words, but to a lot of people, this is still a channel, and I have a job to do on this channel, and that is to produce the content that you guys are subscribed for and have come to expect. And I just want to make sure that I can still fulfill that, especially during a time where it's so important. So, I do appreciate that. I really do appreciate all the love and support. I really can't put into words like how grateful I am for that and how much it actually does help. One thing I do want to do at some point this year, certainly, is, I think you guys saw in 2020, we made a lot of big changes and improvements to the channel, which works out so well. I want to get a new webcam at some point. I want to get a good one, because as you can see, the one I have, it's pretty low quality. It's not really anything special. So that's one thing I want to do. I know it's a little bit random, but if I'm going to be going on camera more, that's what I'm hoping, one improvement we can make. But yeah, just to finish off this topic, guys, so we can move on here. I do condemn Microsoft for doing what they did. I think that it's good. It is good that they turned it around. They needed to. They absolutely needed to. Um, but we cannot sit here and I know you guys aren't, but for those who are, you have to be able to understand that if there was no backlash, if the gaming community didn't come together collectively and basically look at Microsoft and say, what in God's name are you doing right now? They probably wouldn't have changed anything, And also, I can promise you right now, if Sony when Microsoft announced this, the executives at Sony were like, how's this going to go down? Because there's no doubt Sony is most likely, they're all thinking of their bottom line. There's no doubt Sony is probably thinking about doing the same thing as well. And I can promise you that if Microsoft went through with this, Sony would have increased their price. And the one really good thing during a pandemic of all times as well, it's crazy, right? The one really good thing we can take from all of this is that I can't guarantee anything. Obviously, I'm not Sony. I'm not in control of the decisions they make or Nintendo. But the one thing this should ensure at this point is that, that Sony and Nintendo are not going to try to pull the same thing. Wow, thank you guys so much. JSN RPG, thank you, or Jason RPG, saying happy Sunday with a $50 donation. Thank you so much, man. That is extremely generous of you. Very kind. Everything you guys are doing right now is very generous. And I feel so bad, having to, ask for something like this at a time like this, because yes, we are in the middle of a global pandemic. And I know that I'm not the only one struggling. Thank you so much for that generous donation, buddy. That is going to go a long way in helping me out and my family. Thank you so much, man. And the channel as well. That's one other thing that I wanted to mention as well. Again, I feel terrible for saying this, but I feel as though it's necessary. Like I need, and for those who listen after the fact, I may even have to stress this in some of my videos. If you are someone who, because I don't expect everybody to just show kindness, right? Because it's understandable. I don't expect everybody to just come support me or my channel because of what's happening in my personal life. But something else that's very important as well is like, if you do like my channel and you like the content and you like the fact that I'm able to produce as much content as I am able to, and I'm able to be on the channel constantly, like if you are somebody who does like that, then yeah, this is a time where it's like, being able to support that, it is a difference maker. It's always a difference maker, but now more than ever. And David Gaines, once again, thank you so much, man. You're saying that's my exact point. This is why I preach accountability to Xbox gamers. If you hold them accountable, they will be forced to change. This is a direct example of that. I agree 100%, man. That's something I've been also kind of trying to preach as well on the channel here, not just for Microsoft, but all of these companies. People think I'm way too easy on Sony, but my argument to that is, what exactly has Sony done in the past couple of years that's really that bad? They're doing a lot of the things that I expect of them and that I want them to do. They're delivering a console. They're putting all of the majority of their focus on that console. They're trying their best to deliver high quality, single player narrative driven gaming experiences without exploiting their fan base. And, maybe the worst thing they did is a $10 price increase. I know that price increase is more significant in other regions. I'm not saying it doesn't suck, but I'm just saying, like, if that's the worst thing Sony's going to do, then I can live with that. I'm not going to cheer them on for that. Like, yes, charge more for games, charge me more money. No, I'm not doing that, but I can live with that, right? As long as they keep delivering what it is that I want from them. Microsoft has not been doing that. And the fact that they haven't been doing that, yes, they have been making some moves that seem to indicate they're trying to get better at it, and they're starting to do a little bit more with their studios and their games that fall in favor of what I would like to see, right? But we have to we do have to hold these companies accountable. The fans have to, and the gaming community in this case has to come together and be like, no, don't do that. Durand, you're saying The Last of Us 2 won PlayStation Game of the Year by a landslide with over 2 million votes from PlayStation players on the blog. You ignored this news. It was not Ghost. It's honestly, man, it's not that I ignored the news. It's just that I it's been a little bit difficult for me to pay super close attention to the news. And I feel like I've talked so much about The Last of Us, but I gotta admit, guys, it is starting to seem like like maybe, yeah, maybe. And this is hard to admit because I fall in this category of this camp, but maybe it really is that the majority of people do like The Last of Us Part 2. And it's the vocal, maybe in this case, I am the vocal minority where it's like I didn't enjoy the story that much and I was upset about it. And, you know, uh, maybe that's the case. And when you look at stuff like that, maybe that it does become clear. I did enjoy Ghost of Tsushima more, but that's just my opinion. If more people enjoyed The Last of Us 2 more, that's great. I have given The Last of Us 2 a ton of credit, even though the story just wasn't my cup of tea and I didn't really enjoy it as much as I was hoping, and it did upset me a little bit. There's no doubt that, dude, Naughty Dog is one of the most, probably like the most talented studio on the planet. Like what they did on a technical level with that game, no other studio has done. Simply put, no other studio has done. And especially when you see a disaster like Cyberpunk 2077, where the hype was through the roof and on a technical level, that game just colossal failure. Oh, my neck. um, I give even more credit to Naughty Dog, where it's like one thing I can say that when I went to go play that game day one at launch, didn't run into not a single technical flaw. That is extremely impressive. And I gotta say, I'm over The Last of Us 2. I'm over that stuff. I'm excited for The Last of Us multiplayer game. Okay, I want to see what that is. I'm excited for it. I'm excited for whatever Naughty Dog does next. I'm not going to sit here and hold some type of grudge because, oh, I didn't like The Last of Us Part 2. I'm never going to like Naughty Dog again. I know that there's a lot of extreme people who are like, screw, Neil Druckmann and Naughty Dog, and they're the worst, and he ruined. No, I'm not like that. I can't do that. They're too talented, and the thought of what they could do with the PS5 hardware is just too exciting for me to just be like, look, I won't lie. If the next project that they do is The Last of Us Part 3, I'm going to be a little bit hesitant. I'm going to be a little bit concerned, but I'm not going to assume it's going to be bad. Okay? I just can't do it. Also, it's worth noting that I made a video talking about that piece of concept art that Naughty Dog artist put out that we thought they were maybe teasing their next game. Turns out that's not what it was. I didn't think it was, but it was a little bit weird. Apparently, this artist made it a couple months ago, and it was actually because of Assassin's Creed Valhalla. They were inspired to make it. So, I don't know. A deep fantasy, a high fantasy game from Naughty Dog would be something else. But we have Elijah. You're saying it's a pandemic, but a lot of us are still working or working even harder. My workload increased immensely in 2020, so don't think everyone isn't doing well. Just worry about people's health, if anything. Yeah, that's true. That's true. A lot of people are still, doing what they're doing, and it's still going good for them. And like you said, they're working even harder. That's how I feel. Like at a time like this, I feel like I have to work even harder on my channel. And I feel grateful, truly, that like I have this as a basically as a job, as a means for financial support and stability, or as close to it as I can get. You guys have no idea like how much of a relief that is and how grateful I am for that. And it's just something where I feel like I want to continue to put more work and effort. It's just the thing that's been hard is 2020 was an incredible year for my channel, and I'm sure you guys saw that. And I was always afraid of what if the hype dies down? How do I I don't want something terrible to happen to the channel, and I don't think it has, but things have slowed down dramatically in January. And frankly, at a time where it's like, oh boy, like this was the worst time this could have happened. But it is what it is, and I want to just believe that we're going to get through this. And between the slowdown on the channel and what's happening in my personal life, it feels like a double whammy, frankly. And I've just been trying really hard to try to remain optimistic. And, I can't force hype and excitement. I can't be like, hey guys, let's be excited for PlayStation, even though they're not doing much right now and they're being pretty quiet. Like, I can't do that. I'm at the mercy of like, what's the gaming news cycle like? What is there to talk about? But my hope is that it's January. January's infamously slow, and things are going to pick up hopefully in the coming weeks. That's my hope anyway. But my overarching hope here, my zoomed out hope is that we can really elevate the channel in 2021 to a level that it just hasn't reached yet. That would be great. And I think you guys are, doing your best to try to help me achieve that as well. Solid Snake, you're saying, how's it going, MBG? Hope all is well, brother. I also want to make sure I didn't miss this other super chat. I'll get to you in 1 second, Oyakarumi. But Solid Snake, thank you for asking. Things are definitely going a little bit better. It's still hard right now. I'm still in the thick of it, me and my family, and just here on the channel. But I'm just grateful to be able to be here with you guys and do this podcast. And, they're getting better slowly but surely. I can't say they're getting worse because they're not. But my hope is that, as we progress week over week, things will continue to get significantly better, hopefully. So thank you for asking, man. And thank you for the super chats, guys. Oe Yakarumi, you're saying, come on, Xbox. You're breaking my balls. Compliments by Eric Cartman from South Park. Yeah. I think Xbox has really thrown their fans for a loop the past couple of days. I'm just glad they've come out on the other side, with something better, right? With something better. Luca, thank you so much. You're saying, thanks for giving us some PlayStation fun in these times. No problem, Luca. Thank you guys for being here. I feel like I'm saying thank you too much. I don't mean to do that. I know I sound like a broken record, but it's a give and take thing here. I like doing this. I like being able to do the podcast, being able to create the content, and I like to think that many of you enjoy the content, and I'm always happy to see you are. So, yeah, hit that like button, guys. We're gonna move on to the next topic. Let's see what we should talk about next. I think what I want to talk about is I'll start with the Resident Evil 8 demo and that news. So I saw some people were asking me if I played the Maiden demo yet. I wasn't able to actually catch the stream, obviously. To be honest, I have not touched my PS5 in a little while, for obvious reasons. I think the last thing I did on my PlayStation 5 was I finally completed Miles Morales, and a lot of people were like, "Dude, why did it take you so long?" Well, there's been a lot going on, so it has been particularly difficult for me to find time to play games lately. I want to try to play the Maiden demo when I get a chance. What I have heard about the Maiden demo that is very reassuring. Well, first of all, I was a little bit disappointed to find out that Resident Evil 8 is going to be a cross-gen game, but I'm not shocked to hear that. I'm disappointed, but I'm not shocked. I mean, I think that we're going to continue to see a lot of cross-gen games, and I think I'm looking forward to the day we see a next-gen only game from a third-party developer. I thought Resident Evil or Capcom was going to be one of the first to do it, but apparently it is a cross-gen game. I'm interested to see the differences, but do you guys remember last year? I made multiple videos covering this fear, uncertainty, and doubt about Resident Evil 8. Apparently, from a supposed insider, was struggling behind the scenes. Apparently, it was being optimized perfectly well for the Xbox Series X. There were no problems, but Capcom was having a really hard time optimizing it for the PlayStation 5. It wasn't able to even hit 1080p 60 frames per second on the PS5. And I kind of covered this, and I was just like, I press X to doubt, right? Like, I just don't believe that that's a thing. And even if it is, there's a reason why we are not supposed to know about it, because it's their job to literally find whatever the problem is, fix it, and then optimize it for that platform. We have one Lodity, I don't know if I'm saying your name correctly, but thank you for the super chat. You're saying maybe you can do some walkthroughs on the channel. Yeah, I've been thinking about what different type of content I could do on the channel. The problem is right now is it is a difficult time for me to be trying anything new because I just don't have the peace of mind and the headspace to be able to really think deeply about, what could we do differently. That's going to have to come a little bit later, once things in my, once I just get clear up more headspace and it's easier to think about these things. But one thing I would like to try to do, and this is really dependent upon the support. I did a Demon Souls stream at the launch of the PS5, and that was my most successful game stream ever. Got like 85,000 views, and it was like crazy. I was like, wow, like I did not expect that at all. But then my next Demon Souls stream got like 17,000 views, and it was pretty obvious that okay, I don't know if this is something I'm considering how long of a game Demon Souls is. I don't think I can stream this entire thing, but I was thinking maybe we can start streaming some games on the channel more often. Maybe I can dedicate certain days to streaming games, and we can try to play through games. Like maybe we could go through older games on the PS5, like Days Gone, God of War. We could play Miles Morales, other upcoming games. That's something I've been considering as a different avenue when the news is slower. It's impossible for me to do that right now. It's very difficult for me to even do the podcast. So we're going to have to see. But walkthroughs, I don't know, maybe. And we have Junior Jackson. Thank you so much, man. Appreciate your your support, man. I know you've been one of the longest standing members. Thank you for the generous donation. You're saying just want to flex to the community real quick. Junior Jackson has the Demon Souls Platinum. Just saying, continue MVG with a little laugh. Dude, that's great, man. That's impressive. I wanted to platinum Demon Souls. I'm sad to report that I have not platinum Demon Souls. I don't know if I'm going to be able to. Things are very blurry right now for me when it comes to actual gaming, right? I think I moved on to Miles Morales because I'm like, I have to play this game. I can't just focus on Demon Souls. I beat Miles Morales and I'm like, I want to try to platinum Miles Morales, but now we'll see what happens. But yeah, that's a pretty impressive platinum, Junior Jackson. I don't think that I was looking at some of the trophies for Demon Souls, and I think the more intimidating ones for me were like the boss specific ones where you have to meet certain um conditions. You're saying you actually got an email from Sony after getting the platinum. Yeah, I saw that's something Sony's doing apparently for PS5 players getting the platinum. I didn't know they were doing it for Demon Souls. I heard that they did it for Miles Morales, but that's cool that they're doing that. I like that Sony does that. That's a really cool thing they do. It's like a little extra incentive and a little extra thank you for for going above and beyond and platinuming their games, and really extracting everything out of it. Jose, you're saying, yo, MBG just started playing Days Gone on the PS5. Plays too smooth. Yeah, dude, that's one thing I was thinking about before all this stuff happened is like I saw that Digital Foundry, they did their Days Gone comparison and I was watching, I'm like, my God, like, dude, I always knew 60 FPS made a difference, but I did not truly realize like how big of a difference it made until I started basically playing all of my games at 60 FPS. And then when I attempted to go back to 30, I'm like, I can't look at this. This actually hurts my eyes. Like it looks so choppy, right? And yeah, it's hard to believe. Like looking at some of these games, it's hard to believe I played them at 30 FPS, but you just get used to it, right? And so, who knows? I might go back and play some of these games and maybe we can stream them because a lot of these games that came out, got when God of War came out, Days Gone came out, these were titles that I didn't actually stream playthroughs of, and maybe that's a new, mainstay of the channel we could start bringing on here. My God, thank you guys so much for the super chats. You guys are blowing me away right now. Really, I can't express how grateful I am right now. Um, Bart, thank you so much, man, for the generous donation. You're saying just want to support you, your channel, and your family. In the end, everything will be fine. If it's not fine, it is not the end. Yeah, very well said, man. I thank you so much for that. I have honestly, I have read. I couldn't read all of the responses that you guys gave me because it's just impossible. But I tried my best to read as many as I could, and I'm getting emails from some people personally as well, sharing their stories with me, and it really has helped. Like I can't, it, you know, stress that enough. Like it helps a lot, and I'm reading some of the responses to my wife and it's helping her and making her feel better. And hearing people's personal stories, and it gives me this sense, me and my family, a sense like we're not alone. Like, hearing, I mean, it's not good to hear other people go through bad things. Obviously, ideally, nobody wants to go through bad things, but just knowing it's like, wow, people have had it so much worse and they've made it through. It does bring a little bit of reassurance. So thank you so much for that, man. I do apologize for constantly going back to it, but seeing the love and support you guys are showing, and it's so at the forefront of my mind. I do appreciate it. We have let's see here, Sean DeLuca once again. You're saying, I've been on vacation and out of the loop. What PS5 games are you most excited about coming very soon? Or have you played anything great recently besides Demons/Miles? Well, unfortunately, I have not played anything recently, but the game I'm looking forward to is Returnal, which is in March. I'm also looking forward to Destruction All-Stars because it's going to be a PS Plus game. That game could be really fun. I could play it and be like, I don't like this at all, and it may not hold my attention, but I am looking forward to that. And I'm interested to see if it's like one of these games where it like kind of goes under the radar, but it turns out being better than people were expecting. Like, could Destruction All-Stars be the next like Rocket League potentially? It could be. It could be. It looks like it has potential. It just looks like one of these games where you can just kind of like have fun, and it doesn't have to be super serious, and have some multiplayer fun. But I'm very much looking forward to Returnal. I'm really looking forward to Returnal because I really like what I'm seeing of that game. But dude, at this point, I'm just so excited and I'm eager to like, come on, Sony, like let's start talking again. Let's see what you're going to be doing. Like, what's the plan for the rest of 2021? I want to see more God of War. I want to see more Horizon Forbidden West, because I feel like everything that they're bringing me now, like, for as good as these games could be, like Destruction All-Stars and especially Returnal, for as good as they're going to be, I feel like we're just being teased for like what's to come. I'm like ready for the next big game. So yeah, we also have Darren. You're saying, hey, MBG, props to Junior Jackson. I got the platinum for Bug Snacks. I didn't get an email from Sony, LOL. Hope you're doing okay, man. Good to see the podcast today. I'm definitely doing better. You guys have really done a great job in cheering me up, I got to say. Really helping my mindset a lot, honestly. And yeah, I don't know if they're going to... because Bug Snacks is like a third-party exclusive game, I don't know if they're going to send an email out for that. I've heard some weird things about Bug Snacks. The most interesting thing about Bug Snacks that I've heard is that apparently it's a dark game. It's a very like melancholic game, which is like, what? It just sounds so weird to me. So I think at some point I may have no choice but to go try it out. But I am fascinated in that idea. Thank you for the super chat. And we have Sean DeLuca. I think I read that one. You were asking me about the games I'm excited for. I just want to make sure I'm not missing any super chats here, because I always feel terrible if I miss them. I try not to, but JFlex81, thank you so much, buddy. You're saying, I'm a dad too. I know how dragging it is to have a child with health issues. Wish him all the best. I'm sorry to hear that, man, but thank you so much for the donation. And thank you guys so much for your generosity today during this podcast. I was not expecting this, honestly. This helps me more than you probably know. Like, it really does. So thank you so much, man. Yeah, I've seen a lot of people, a lot of dads, and not just dads, but some mothers as well, talk about their own personal stories with their children and the health issues. And, I'm just hoping that we can come out the other end intact, and everything is okay. And I'm sure we will. And you guys are helping me out so much. So thank you so much. Thank you so much, Dave Flex. Somebody's saying it is dark AF. I'm assuming you're talking about Bug Snacks being dark AF. Anyway, we got very, very much sidetracked here, which is okay. It's okay. Things are a little bit all over the place right now in every sense of those words that I just said. My, brain's feeling a little bit scrambled, but I did want to be sure to talk about the fact that Resident Evil 8. It's apparently running great on the PS5. And so, look, when it comes to rumors, I know that in 2020 we have covered so many rumors, and it goes both ways, right? There are these fear, uncertainty, doubt rumors that are like, uh-oh, better be worried, better watch out. And Resident Evil 8 fell into that category where it's like, like, is it true? Could it be true that developers are having issues with the PS5? Is this the PS3 all over again? And the Xbox Series X is just so much easier to develop for them. We're going to see third-party games struggle. And it's just not. It's just not true. Like, we're literally seeing, we saw the breakdown from Digital Foundry for the Maiden Resident Evil demo, and it's running at native 4K, 60 frames per second. It's like, could you ask for anything better than that? And it did have a little bit of ray tracing as well. So I'm like, even if it does end up, I don't know if it will, but if it does end up running and looking a little bit better on the Series X, like, I don't even care at that point, because we were hearing that apparently, from a supposed insider. And, when I say it goes both ways, it's because we hear from the supposed insiders and we hear the rumors from, the positive Xbox, PlayStation rumors as well. And they turn out to not be true about games, about announcements and stuff. But pretty much all of the negative rumors have turned out to be untrue. And I'm happy about that. And this is just another situation. So, this bodes well for PlayStation or the PS5 specifically, because this is a game that was rumored to be having an issue running on the PS5. We're seeing a demo of it out exclusively on the PS5, and it's not having any issues. Granted, it's just a small slice. It's just a small sliver. We're going to have to wait to see the full game. I'm also excited at the fact that Resident Evil 8 or Resident Evil Village is apparently releasing, May 7th, I believe. So that's relatively soon, and things are pretty dry, right? Somebody had asked me earlier what some of the games I was looking forward to. This is one of the games I am looking forward to, and I'm happy to hear that I'm not going to have to wait till the second half, unless it gets delayed, but the second half of 2020. Also, Tommy Versetti, you're saying, how's it going? It's going good, man. Thank you for the super chat, buddy. I really appreciate that. Felix R, you're saying been watching you for quite some time now, sending you much love and a big thank you, because your videos have always been something to look forward to. Well, thank you so much, man. I really love to hear that. I always love hearing that people really do enjoy the content. They look forward to the videos, because I love making them, and obviously, like, when I make videos, it's because I want people to watch them. I don't like to feel like I have to be clickbaity or anything like that. I want it to be as genuine as it can be. And we've evolved a lot on the channel. And so I really always appreciate hearing that people do enjoy the content, because it really helps. MBG, did you finish Demon Souls? I did. I did finish Demon Souls. I just didn't platinum it, but I did finish it. I wanted to make sure to finish it before moving on to Spider-Man Miles Morales. And yeah, so... Oh, also, that other game, RE-verse, like, possibly one of the worst names for a game I've ever heard. The multiplayer battle royale looking game that's based in the Resident Evil universe. I think it looks fine. I'll try it. Something I came across is apparently they actually shrunk the player characters significantly so for that game specifically. So that way it didn't seem like everything is so cramped up in tight corridors and play areas. Very strange. Very, very strange. Oyakurumi, also, we need a Resident Evil Outbreak 3. We need a Resident Evil Outbreak 3. I don't know why we're getting games like RE-verse and not Outbreak 3. We really need that. Oyakurumi, you're saying that's what I'm saying, turn bug snacks into a horror game like Silent Hill. I think it would sell really well. Yeah, I don't know. Some people keep saying that it's like low-key a horror game. So I'm like, I don't really like bug snacks. I mean, yeah, there is something, I guess, genuinely terrifying about it, right? Like, it just has this undertone. But yeah, we're going to move on now and talk a little bit about a different topic here. This time, Hitman 3 and how it stacks up, the PS5 and Xbox Series X version, because I've seen so many people making a big deal about this. And specifically, a lot of Xbox fans have been calling me out saying, MBG, you made all these videos about Hitman, not Hitman 3, but about games running slightly better on the PS5 versus the Series X. How come you're not making a video on this? Well, we're going to talk about it now. So before we dive into this topic, guys, hit that like button. Let's see if we can get up to 400 likes. It certainly does help the podcast out. pretty significantly. So hit that like button. We have Unintended Studios. You're saying the trailer for RE8 had me worried, looking blurry with a choppy frame rate. Maiden put that all to bed for me. I wish the trailers conveyed it better. Yeah, I mean, the trailers are probably tougher because the Maiden is most likely something that is, I mean, obviously it's 100% refined and ready to go. We have to understand this game isn't releasing till May. So between now and then, there's a ton more optimization that's happening. And, they could still be having issues potentially in certain areas of the game, like, busier areas. Um, it looks, if you watch that trailer, there were some more open areas, more enemies on screen, more things happening. And I'm sure that there's like, look, I'm sure there's going to be some performance issues on the PS5 if they're trying to hit 4K 60 FPS, but hopefully they're just not severe. And the Maiden definitely did put all that to rest because it at least proves that they can optimize it enough to where that's what we can expect, right? So I agree. They probably have no choice with the trailers. Like they have to show what the game is and what's in the game. But some of those sections you're seeing in the trailer probably aren't finished yet. Certainly not 100% finished. But talking about Hitman 3, this is an interesting one because this is pretty much the first. Sorry, I brought up the wrong screen here. This is pretty much the first direct PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X comparison that actually does seem to be falling more in line with, the Xbox Series X. But what's interesting is it seems to still come at a cost. Now, the cost is not anything major, but to some people, it is. And so what we're looking at is Hitman 3 on the Xbox Series X maintains a consistently higher resolution, hitting, I think, closer to native 4K or native 4K. And it also has, I think, like high settings enabled, to whereas the PlayStation 5 version is more akin to medium settings. But the problem is there are moments in the game where the frame rate just seems to tank randomly, sporadically during certain sections of Hitman 3 on the Series X, where it can drop to the low 50s, sometimes even the 40s. Some people are saying this is a bug and it will be patched, which would be good. But the PlayStation 5 version maintains that solid 60 FPS, but it runs at I think a locked 1800p. So it's not that native 4K. And, it's funny because I think some Xbox fans, they expect me to be like, well, I guess the PlayStation 5 just sucks now. In reality, and I said this before, I did say that, I do suspect that at some point the tools for the Xbox Series X will get better and developers will get better at optimizing because, yes, it is a more, it has more under the hood when it comes to the GPU. And I'm assuming that all 52 of those compute units and the drivers and whatnot, they're not all being utilized. So yeah, over time, developers are going to get better at optimizing for the Series X. They're also going to get better at optimizing for the PS5. But I did say that, I am expecting that at some point we are going to see some games perform or look slightly better. And in this case, Hitman 3 looks slightly better on the Series X. And it's like, okay, good. Like, is that not what Microsoft promised? So it's not like this big win that people are trying to make it out to be. It's really not. I mean, if you think it is and you feel it is, then fine. That's fine. Like, you're allowed to feel that way. There's no reason you shouldn't feel that way. But come on. Most of us are looking, over here and we're looking at this and we're like, all right, the Xbox Series X is finally doing what it said it was going to do. And this is just one game, and there's a lot of people that are, again, taking this stance because I guess they didn't learn before. Well, buckle up because this is going to be the new norm for every game. Like, I am okay with that. Like, I'm totally okay with that because I watched the comparison. I've seen the screenshots and yeah, Hitman 3 looks a little bit better on the Xbox Series X, but I'm not sitting here like, does it look that much better? Like, is it really that big of a difference? No, it's not. Like, you have to zoom in or be sitting like right in front of your TV to see the difference. So You know, I don't know what else people want me to say. Like, do they want me to be like, well, hail to the king that is the Xbox Series X with its 12 T-flops finally delivering a game where it has the some slight advantage. For those who may have forgotten, I'm sure most of you haven't, anytime we talked about this, I always said, and I still maintain, there's going to be a slight difference, if there is any at all. And yes, it's a pretty slight difference. I mean, excuse me. Josh Z, you're saying, I want to play Bug Snacks to compare it to Zelda Majora's Mask N64 2000. That is the darkest, creepiest game I've ever played in my life. Glad things are looking up for you, MBG. Yeah, thank you so much, Josh. I did see you on my video supporting me, telling me your own story. So thanks for that, man, and thank you for the super chat. I always appreciate your support, man. But yeah, we're gonna see. We're gonna see. Apparently, I forget the name of the developer of Bug Snacks, but they say there's more to come for Bug Snacks, which is interesting. Joshua Reese, you're saying, MBG, do you have any horror film recommendations? Sinister is a movie I always liked, not the second one. There's a lot of horror movies I just put me on the spot. I mean, obviously I always loved The Shining. It's a classic. Always loved that one. I'm trying to think of one that's a little bit more obscure though. And I'm having trouble, but if I think of any, people always ask me for like film recommendations, and I always feel like I'm on the spot because like I have watched a lot of movies, but I'm not a big film buff. Like I would have to actually like think about the movies I've seen over the years and like what I can actually recommend. But yeah, thank you for that. Let me see. So yeah, going back to the Hitman 3 thing, I look, if going forward we start to see the Series X have some slight advantages here and there, I mean, let me ask you guys, chat, let me know. For those who have watched the Digital Foundry comparison between the Hitman 3 for the PS5 and Xbox Series X, do you think that's a significant difference? Like, should we... Yeah, Hereditary. I did see that one as well. That was a pretty good one. Yeah, Witch, saw that too. But is it a significant difference? Is it a minor difference? You know, to me, it's just it doesn't. And I know what people are gonna say. Like they're gonna be like, dude, you're always gonna say it's not a significant difference. That's not true. That's not true. Like if you know if the PS5 version ran at like 1440p and actually had like the same frame drops at medium settings that the Series X version has, or yeah, like it basically just runs at 1440p medium settings with the same frame drops that the Series X has, I'd be like, yeah, that's kind of significant, you know, but it's locked 18, I think it's locked 1800p if I'm not mistaken, and it maintains a solid 60 FPS with medium settings and it looks good. Now, one thing I did notice is apparently they're planning on bringing ray tracing to the Series X and S versions, but there's no word on ray tracing for the PS5 version. So that is interesting. If it does get ray tracing and the PS5 version doesn't, then yeah, that would be kind of significant. Like, but I don't see any reason why it shouldn't, because we've seen what developers can do with the PS5, right? So at that point, you do have to question how much is it actually on the developers, right? And we'll have to see. The PS5, yeah, it has ray tracing. It can do ray tracing. And so we see the difference in a 400% zoom. Yeah, you know, that's what I mean. Is it like, that's the thing is some people were trying to throw like pixel counts at me. They're like, don't you understand, MBG, the pixel count difference between, like 1800p and, 4K is like 3 million pixels or something. I'm like, yeah, but that's the thing is we're dealing with very dense and high pixel counts. There's a massive visual difference that you can see between, say, 720p and 1080p versus 1800p and 2160p, right? There's a massive visual difference you can clearly see with the lower resolutions versus the higher ones. The more pixel dense it is, the harder it's going to be. And yes, it will require zooming in to see that difference. And some people are going to be like, but dude, if this was the other way around, wouldn't you be bragging about it? Wouldn't you be like, if Hitman 3 ran at native 4K solid 60 FPS at high settings, and the Series X version ran at 1800p 60 FPS at medium settings. Wouldn't you be bragging? Yes, because are we going to pretend that that's not like the total opposite of what the situation was supposed to be to begin with? Do you see what I'm saying? If Microsoft didn't market the Series X as the world's most powerful console constantly and constantly flex the 12 T-flops, there would be no reason to brag about it in such a way. But they did do that, and their fans ran with that. And their fans spent months and months telling PlayStation fans how we better strap ourselves in and prepare ourselves because there's going to be a demonstrable, massive, huge difference. And it's just like, no, there's not. There still isn't. There still isn't. Will there be later on? Maybe. I don't want to discount it. I don't want to sit here and say that there will never be a difference, a significant difference, because there might be. We're going to have to wait and see. But I can promise you one thing, regardless of any of the differences that we see with third-party games, I think Microsoft is going to have to really do a good job with their exclusive games visually, because I can tell you one thing, the visuals that we're going to see on some of these PlayStation 5 exclusives that are coming in the future, I don't think, I could be wrong, we're going to have to see what Microsoft's teams can do. I don't think they're going to compete. I just don't think they're going to compete. When I see what Naughty Dog did with The Last of Us Part 2 on a PS4 Pro and think about what they could do a couple years from now, visually speaking, on a PS5, I just don't think Microsoft has the team that's capable of, I mean, maybe they do. We're going to have to see, but I don't know. I would have to see it to believe it, is what I'm saying. So when it comes to the visual side of things, at the very least, like, Sony's been blowing me away with their exclusives, and I think they're going to continue to blow me away with their exclusives. And third-party games, from all of the third-party games I played so far, they've been looking damn good. Damn good. They don't need to look better than the Series X, is what I'm saying. I'm perfectly happy with the way they look. And if I find out, there's a slight difference in favor of the Series X, it's not going to keep me up at night. It's not going to stop me from enjoying what I'm playing on my PS5. Hawk of Light, thank you for the donation, buddy. You're saying, watch KTG video. Digital Foundry lied about a lot of things. The Xbox version drops to the 40s, and it's missing a lot of detail that the PS5 has. Yeah, maybe I'll have to. KTG, who is that? King Thrash, maybe? I think some people have mentioned that. Yeah, I don't know. The thing is, I'm not looking into it too deeply because it just doesn't, it's not that it doesn't matter to me. It still does, and we'll still follow it. But at this point, it's like the PS5 has proven what it needed to prove. The Series X is just now, maybe, if we do believe Digital Foundry, is just now maybe proving what it needs to prove. And I've seen Xbox guys jump on this. We're like, see, we told you. It's like, you're a little late. You're better late than never, but you're a little late. The PS5 is not only doing what you said it wouldn't do, definitively you said it wouldn't do, but your preferred platform, your preferred console is now just doing what you guaranteed us it would do from the start, right? Again, that's if you believe it. And I don't know. It's not a matter of belief for me. It's just a matter of like, okay, like, let's keep watching. Let's keep watching. Let's see if it gets better, Okay, so really quick before I read your thing, Oyakurumi, let's see, like, when Resident Evil 8 comes out, right? Like, I think that'll be a good game. Because if there's a pretty significant difference between the Series X version and the PS5 version, then maybe some of the rumors were true. But here's the thing. If when I play the PS5 version, if I play it at 4K 60 FPS with a little bit of ray tracing, what more could the Series X offer that comes off as like, oh man, I'm missing out? Do you see what I'm saying? Just like with Hitman 3. Oh, I'm missing out because some settings are high and not medium? Can I even notice that difference? Would I even notice that difference? I'm missing out because it has a slightly higher pixel count with some frame drops. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like, even during the times when we talked about this power gap, the 10 T-flops versus 12, the power of X. It's cringe at this point. But even when we talked about it and we said, look, like, is it really going to be noticeable? Or is the difference most likely in 99% of the cases going to be negligible. I think Hitman 3 is kind of showing that even when it is in favor of the Series X, and that's the thing too. I also stress this with the games we covered where the PS5 had the advantage, right, over the Series X. I was sure to emphasize it's a slight advantage. So in some cases it wasn't so slight, but in most cases it was, and frankly, it's not like a deal breaker. It's just not, right? Maybe with Assassin's Creed Valhalla when that first came out, that was kind of a deal breaker. But in most cases, but the point was it shouldn't be that way, right? We were told that was not what to expect at all. That's why I made such a big deal of it. Yakarumi, you're saying, is it weird that I don't find scary movies not as scary? Then, for example, It not scary compared to Silent Hill. No, because I think when you're playing games, if you're talking about like movies versus games, you're interacting much more so with a game than you are with a movie. That's just the nature of the medium. So I think that's totally understandable. Thank you so much, MH, for that very generous donation, buddy. I really do appreciate that. Thank you guys so much for the super chats and all the support you've shown during this podcast. I mean, viewership-wise, this podcast is not breaking any kind of record or anything. It doesn't need to. It's, we're getting close to the end of January. There's not much going on, but I am thankful for those of you who are here, and you guys have like just shown up in such a massive way. We have a new member, Namco888. The greatness awaits tier. Thank you so much for becoming a member, buddy. I really appreciate that. Huge shout out to all of my members. You guys, I try to do the best I can with my perks. I probably could afford to start releasing some more videos earlier for longer durations of time for you guys, but I tried to give you guys what I can, and your support as members really helps a lot as well. So I can't stress that enough. Thank you guys so much, especially those of you who are, thank you guys who are just at the regular member tier, and especially for those of you who go above and beyond to go to those higher tiers. Sultan, NAS, thank you so much, man. You're saying, hear my prayer and support are with you and your family. I've been a big fan of your channel and videos. A big thank you. Keep the hard work going. Thank you so much for that, man. It's really sweet of you. All the prayers you guys have sent, my way and my family's way. Really, thank you so much. I know I sound like a broken record. I've been a broken record this entire time, but thank you so much for the super chat. Thank you for all of the kind words, guys. Really means so much to me. But let's move on here and talk a little bit about the next topic. If you guys could do me a favor, hit that like button once again. See if we can get up to 500 likes before this podcast ends. We're going to talk about the secret Sony exclusives, the secret projects that are in the works, because we have some new evidence that has emerged this past week that basically lets us know that there are some secret projects in the works. This is not a rumor, and it's nice because we don't have to talk about it as if it's a rumor. So the first, and I think they're both equally as interesting, but the one I want to start with first here is, I guess, the Santa Monica project, right? Because this one is one that I think this one's more confirmed, I guess we could say, than the secret San Diego project. So the Santa Monica one, right now we know that Sony Santa Monica is hard at work on God of War Ragnarok, which is very exciting. And there have been a lot of rumors and just a ton of speculation that has been going on for quite some time now, basically the past year, that Santa Monica Studio is working on a second title, a big AAA game. It's a new IP, and because of the slight teases that Cory Barlog, the director of God of War 2018, I'm sure you all know who he is, the slight teases he has been putting up on his Twitter throughout the past year, it has been speculated that it's a sci-fi game, something set in space, just something sci-fi related, and we don't have confirmation of that. But what we do have confirmation of, finally, with this secret project is they put out a job listing that got a ton of attention because they straight up said this job listing is for a new unannounced project, a new unannounced game that they're working on. God of War Ragnarok is announced. That is a fact. God of War, the next God of War game, has been announced. So they are making it very clear that this is for a second project. And it's very exciting because this is the first confirmation we have of it. It will probably be some time before we actually see it officially announced. Maybe not, though. It depends. I don't think we're going to see it announced this year because they're going to be focusing on God of War, especially if God of War is actually supposed to try to release this year. But that is extremely exciting because we can now say that, yes, they officially have a second game that's in the works. And that is just awesome because, like, I mean, I have been saying time and time again, guys, that Sony is growing their studios. Like I've said it before and I have to keep saying it, especially now because we're starting to see some of these secret projects kind of make their way to the surface. I've been saying that, hey, all these guys who are bragging about Microsoft and their studios and like, look, Microsoft's buying this studio and they're buying that studio. How can Sony compete? What is Sony going to do? Microsoft bought Bethesda. You think Sony isn't doing things behind the scenes? Why do you think Microsoft is buying these studios left and right? Why do you think they're trying to buy, but they did buy Bethesda? You think it's because they just want to, you're saying Alana Pierce confirmed it's a sci-fi game. Are you sure about that? She works for Sony Santa Monica. I don't think she could confirm something like that. Maybe you can let me know where I can find that because that is very interesting if that's true. I'm hard pressed to believe that. I think she would get in a ton of trouble if she did that. She hinted at it. Okay. When did she hint at it? Was it during like a podcast or something? Because I would like to see that. Because she does work for Sony Santa Monica now, and she's a writer. So there's a very good chance she's directly working on this sci-fi game. Trey, I am too. Thank you so much for the generous donation, buddy. Really appreciate that. You're saying you're making me want to restart my second playthrough of Uncharted 4, but I will wait to see if we get a PS5 upgrade possibly during a next Uncharted announcement. Yes, I think there might be another Uncharted announcement. You're saying Twitter? Okay. If somebody can tell me like exactly what she said, if you're able to, and Corey's been teasing on his Twitter, yeah, I do think it's a sci-fi game. I think all you really need to look for is the fact that, you know, the canceled project that Sony Santa Monica was working on before God of War 2018, it got canceled, was a sci-fi, a big AAA sci-fi project. So maybe that's exactly what they're going back towards. Oh, my coffee's cold. Also, really quick, I know this is kind of random and spontaneous, and I should have mentioned it earlier. I do have, I don't want to say new merch, but like a newly refined, simplified merch line that I don't know if it's under my videos yet because it usually takes a couple days. But guys, if you're able to go check out my merch shop, it should be somewhere on my channel. That's another way you can help support me directly. I got some, again, like I had to remove some stuff, but I wanted to simplify it, streamline the whole merch line. And, I feel like when I looked at my merch previously, a lot of the stuff I put was like massive in the center of like the chest cavity. And I realized like I think what people prefer more is like something smaller. Like you see like the Everlast logo here, just it's near basically the pocket logo. I tried to do more of that for all my stuff for the podcast. I have an All Right Guys, just an MBG logo, an MBG Splash logo. So if that's something you're interested in, go check it out. I was able to finally get some zip up hoodies as well. That was something a lot of people were requesting because a lot of people don't like pullover hoodies. They like the zip ups. So yeah, go check that out if you're interested in it. Just wanted to do a little plug there as well because I totally forgot to mention that at all. And yeah, here we go. So we have Corey Barlog talking in the background. And so I am immensely, incredibly excited to find out what this game's going to be because I can tell you right now, it's going to be a PlayStation 5 exclusive. It's up in the air as to whether or not God of War Ragnarok is going to be a PlayStation 5 exclusive because, I mean, you're saying I much prefer merch where it's not all over the place, so that is great, MBG. Good, I'm glad. Yeah, I feel like I was just going a little bit overboard with the size of some of the stuff I was doing when it comes to the logos, but yeah, dude. Yeah, I see you guys saying Neil Druckmann said that he wanted to do a Punisher game as well. Dude, I'm going to tell you right now. I know that I did not have a lot of great things to say about The Last of Us Part 2. Dude, if Naughty Dog were to make a Punisher game, I don't know what I would do. That would be incredible. Like I would, oh my god, that I would be. I have no words for how hyped I would be for that. I love the Punisher and the skill that Naughty Dog has, just thinking what they could do with that IP. Oh my god, that'd be crazy. That would be crazy. I don't care. I don't care what people say about the SJW stuff, dude. Naughty Dog, do go for it, because that would be insane. Um, the Punisher would become a feminist. No, I don't. Look, come on, like I don't think. I mean, look, I've always said it before, and I'll just say it one more time. The problem I had with the Last of Us story, it was just with the story. It was the fact that there was just things I didn't like, things I wasn't interested in, and things that just didn't click with me. Like one of the things that Naughty Dog tried to do in that story was get me to really enjoy the character of Abby and feel for the character of Abby, and it just didn't work on me. That's all. And so I just wasn't a fan of the character of Abby, and that was the only reason. There was no other reason. I didn't have, my problems with the game were not in line with some of the problems that other people had. But hey, everybody's entitled to their opinion. All I'm saying is if Naughty Dog made a damn Punisher game, I'm going to be damn excited for it. That's all I'm trying to say. But when it comes to this Santa Monica game, I think, you said Abby's so bland. I just want to say I do kind of agree with that. Like that was one of the things is like I didn't feel for her and I just felt upset at what she did to Joel. That's all. Anyway, getting sidetracked here. David Gaines, you're saying Naughty Dog would be perfect for John Wick. Also, in my opinion, that would be a dream. LOL. I think Insomniac is working on Resistance also. They be throwing a lot of Resistance hints and throwbacks on Twitter lately. So couple things. First of all, thank you so much, David, for the continued support, man. That is, you've really been very generous with the super chats. Thank you so much, man. But a couple things I really like about what you're saying here. First of all, okay, I think something I would actually like more than a Punisher game from Naughty Dog is a John Wick game from Naughty Dog. Just a AAA John Wick game in general. I love John Wick, some of my favorite movies. He needs to get this IP, this character needs a AAA game. I said Rockstar could do it because of what they did with Max Payne 3, right? I said, hell, even put Keanu Reeves in Max Payne 4 as a new character or whatever alongside Max Payne. I don't care. Do something. But a John Wick game made by Naughty Dog, that'd be insane. That would be insane. But you're also saying that you think Insomniac is working on Resistance. So I want to say something here as well. Okay, so this is where I do start to get excited, guys, because I start to go a little crazy. I start to go a little crazy because I'm like, Sony, you're so quiet. You're so quiet, Sony. And I know why you're quiet right now, because the demand for your consoles through the roof. You know that you don't need to make any major announcements right now. You know that you're perfectly fine with Destruction All-Stars, Returnal, and Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, which are all exciting games. But the silence, I get frustrated only because Sony has so much going on behind the scenes. People just don't know. I'm not an insider. I'm not trying to make it sound like that. And I could be wrong, but I'm telling you, they have so much going on behind the scenes that people are going to understand that, yes, Sony has been growing their studios behind the scenes. Yes, their teams are getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and they're working on multiple AAA projects with each studio, not just one massive project. Yes, this is why Microsoft is buying studios. Yes, this is why Microsoft acquired Bethesda, because Microsoft has a good understanding that Sony is bringing the heat doubly so, tripling it with the PlayStation 5 generation. Do you know why they're bringing the heat with the games? Because it works for them. It makes them the most money. Look at how elevated the PlayStation brand was last generation. The start of the generation to the end. What did it? Was it just the hardware? No, it was the hardware and the games. So yes, Sony has a lot. They have so much. And yes, I think Resistance could be one of those games, because one thing I can tell you right now is Sony needs, it's not a desire. It's not like I want this. Sony needs a AAA first-person shooter. They just need it. And Resistance would fit that bill. I don't think it's going to be Killzone. I think it might be Resistance. So yeah, Oyakurumi, you're saying, picture this: Santa Monica and Naughty Dog make a game together. That would be awesome, right? Dude, that would be a joint effort with two AAA studios combining. I mean, I think Cory Barlog would love that, because I know Cory Barlog is probably one of Neil Druckmann's biggest fans. That would, I don't know. I don't even know what that could be like, but I'd be interested in it. I'll tell you that. Thank you for that, Oyakurumi. We have the Caped Crusader. MBG, do you think God of War Ragnarok will still be good if Cory Barlog announces that he isn't involved in working on his new space game instead? It will be good. I don't have to think it will be good. I can tell you for a fact it will be good, because if you go back and listen to a lot of the interviews, because when God of War 2018 came out, Cory Barlog kind of became he's pretty much famous, but he really became well known and famous in the gaming industry and just in the media industry at all, because people wanted to know, like, dude, how did you do this? Like, this is incredible. They want to know more. And he revealed a lot in a lot of the interviews he gave. And some of the things he revealed, some of the important things, and why I know it'll be good, regardless of whether he's involved with it or not, is he laid out a template. Okay, he laid out a template. When he was working on God of War 2018, he wasn't just working on one game. He was working on a trilogy of games. When he was writing the story, the next big journey that Kratos and his son go on, he wasn't just writing one game. He was writing multiple. He was writing a trilogy, and maybe more than that. And he did make it clear that all of this stuff is basically mapped out. It just has to be fully realized. And I'm sure there's going to be alterations and tweaks, and I'm sure that he's also giving his team, certain creative freedom, obviously, where it's like, hey, if you guys feel that there's certain changes you need to make, make them. I think he's going to, at the very least, oversee it. Like, I just don't believe that Cory, even if he's not involved in a traditional way with the next God of War with Ragnarok, I just don't believe for a second that he's not getting phone calls from the developers or talking to them in meetings or randomly about getting some guidance, some clarification on things. And I know for a fact God of War Ragnarok will be better. It'll be, I want to say better, all right, because this is where I get ahead of myself. It will be just as good, I think, and potentially better than God of War 2018, because this stuff is already mapped out. And a lot of people, and I just want to stress this as well one more time, I feel like I always have to say this, a lot of people, they think that, like, they're convinced, they're absolutely convinced that God of War Ragnarok will not release in 2021. Let me tell you something. And I do say this with confidence. I could be wrong, and I will, if I find out I'm completely wrong, I will, take that L. If God of War Ragnarok, if that's in fact what the game is going to be called, if that game does get delayed out of 2021, I promise you it's not because it's not ready. I promise you that's not why. It's because Sony realizes we don't actually need it yet. That's why it will get delayed, not because it's not ready. A lot of people don't understand, and I'm not a game designer, but I have like a pretty general understanding of how game design works. Oh, also, Siler18, before I miss your super chat, buddy, sorry about that. You're saying, is it me or is it weird how Returnal has an actual release date before Ratchet & Clank, despite being marketed a whole lot more? Also, I feel for your family, brother. Well, thank you so much for that, man. Yeah, really quick, just to get sidetracked, and we'll go back to the God of War delay, potentially. I also agree with that. When Insomniac said Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart was going to be a PlayStation 5 launch window, I expected January, February, maybe March. Returnal's taking that March spot, so now at this point, I think Ratchet & Clank is going to be April or May. I think Ratchet & Clank maybe needed a little bit more work than Insomniac realized. Either that or they just want to spread it out, and maybe they just... It's worth noting, I think Sony's fiscal year ends in March. So that's important. I'm pretty sure it ends I think it ends at the end of March or the April 1st, I believe. That's important to understand because um, that plays a huge role in determining what gets moved around and what gets released when. So Sony may have thought at first that they were going to need Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart to help boost their numbers, to have when they have to present their numbers, I think at the end of March or the beginning of April, Ratchet and Clank would have helped that, and they may have needed it. Maybe they realized we don't actually need Ratchet and Clank yet because things are going so good. Let's save Ratchet and Clank, because I think Ratchet and Clank is going to be a system seller. It's a PS5 exclusive. It's exciting. They probably thought, let's release Ratchet and Clank in April, probably May, I'd say, when we have more consoles ready to sell and when it can do more for us, and it'll help us when we maybe need it more, right? So that's my thoughts on that, man, because I did think that was kind of strange as well. But getting back to God of War, okay, what a lot of people don't understand, I know a lot of you understand it, but generally a lot of people don't understand that when Sony Santa Monica was creating God of War 2018, they had to create an all-new engine. They had to create brand new game mechanics. And what people don't understand is that these are the things that take the longest and are the hardest. Creating that engine, refining it. If I'm not mistaken, I remember hearing that if you go back to, what was it, E3 20... you guys are going to have to tell me in the chat, but the E3, when they showed off that first game demo, okay, the one that blew everybody away, got like over 20 million views on YouTube, and it was just like jaw-dropping. When they first, put that demo out, that was literally, 2016, that was all they had done. That was it. That was all they had done, because that was the hardest part. Creating the engine, creating the mechanics, understanding what the overall level design is going to be like. So what happens is that's the part that takes the longest, writing the overall story, mapping out the story. And then after that, it's like kind of putting the puzzle pieces together. You know what I mean? It's like basically the start of it is we have to create the puzzle itself and the individual puzzle pieces. And then we have to start putting the pieces together. And the hardest part is creating the puzzle itself, coming up with those puzzle pieces. That's pretty much how it has been going for a lot of Sony studios, where they have to create the foundation. It's like building a house. You cannot build a house without the foundation. And in this case, the foundation is everything I just mentioned. And I think that when you realize that everything came together at the last second when it comes to God of War 2018. Corey Barlog has went on record saying this, not in the sense that the levels weren't made and they weren't finished, not that, the game mechanics weren't refined enough, not in that sense, in the sense of putting the puzzle together. Like, how are the puzzle pieces supposed to fit together? Are they fitting together right? Is this the way they're supposed to fit together? That's the part that came together at the last second, and it just so happens that they did it right, and they got the puzzle together in the perfect possible way. It's like with Days Gone, right? Everybody thinks Days Gone 2 is a game that's not going to come till 2023, 2024. Well, maybe 2023, but like it's like way out there. It's not. It's not way out there, guys, because you have to understand the reason why Days Gone took so many years to develop, took like 7 years, was because they had to start from literal scratch, literally start from nothing and create something. Now they have so much set for the foundation. They had the foundation of the world of Days Gone, the enemies of Days Gone, the characters of Days Gone, all of these things. And so this is why you're going to start to see these sequels come out much sooner. But here's the thing. Sony's not stupid, and neither are their studios. Nobody there at Sony is stupid. Do you think that they're just sitting back saying, we'll just bank on sequels and we'll just keep pumping them out, because after God of War Ragnarok in 2021, we'll put out God of War 3 in 2022? They're not doing that. At least it doesn't seem like that. What they realize is that, okay, if our teams are streamlined enough to where they can just kind of crank these sequels out when we need them to, maybe we can grow these studios and have them work on other new stuff as well. You see what I'm saying? Because they've been through this, man. They have experience. They know they can't, they're not going to take the Microsoft approach. And I'm just being honest, they're not. They're not going to sit back and say, we can just rely on God of War, Horizon, and Uncharted, and we're good. We don't have to worry about. No, they're not doing that. They're not banking on that. They're going to rely on those franchises while also branching out, bringing back older franchises and creating new IP. That's what Sony's doing. I'm telling you, while also making a ton of third-party and second-party deals behind the scenes. All right? So I'm telling you guys, like, people think that Sony's not ready to take on Microsoft because Microsoft has Bethesda. I don't know if you guys saw that rumor that came out where apparently a lot of the big games that Bethesda's working on, the bigger ones, are not coming out until the second half of this decade. Don't know how true that is. Wouldn't shock me. Steve, you're saying love the community MBG prayers for the newborn. Thank you so much, man. Thank you so much for that. Thank you guys so much for the support you brought to the podcast today. I really was not expecting this. You guys are awesome. And, this is turning out to be one of the best podcasts ever, honestly. So thank you so much, man. Also, I know this is kind of random. I'm sure some of you here, not all of you, maybe a few of you saw that. And maybe if you saw it on Twitter, I was thinking about going to my classic thumbnail style again, where I kind of cut the thumbnails cut in half. On one side it's the text and the other side it's the image. For briefly, I had the old thumbnail set up for Press X podcast for this podcast, and I changed it because I got I kind of lost some confidence. And I'm like, I don't know, what if people like don't show up because the thumbnail's different? But I'm thinking about going back to that older style. I don't know. I'm kind of torn about that. To be honest, I don't know how much people really care about that either. I know that I should probably just do what I want to do, but that's just stuff I think about, No Evil Within 3. I would love to see an Evil Within 3, but yeah, the other secret title, guys, is, and this fits with the, he just realized I'm at the top left. Yeah. And is there anything in the way of the image? Because for me, it says I'm live, and I'm just going to check that real quick. I'm sure somebody would have said something by now. No, it's good. It's good. Okay. But yeah, the Uncharted, okay, so here's something interesting. I'm pretty sure most of Sony studios are expanding. I mean, I know that most of them are. I'm just not sure if all of them are expanding. One studio we know is expanding, and it's actually, believe it or not, it's essentially the equivalent. Like, here's what I'm going to say. You're saying, to be honest, you like the new thumbnail style more. Yeah, maybe I'll have to have people vote on it. Sometimes I just feel like things get a little bit stale, and I feel like they need to shake it up. But here's something interesting. I'm going to say this. AMBG, is your cat banned from the podcast since the background incident? No, I mean, my cats are free to come down here whenever they want. I hope that they don't knock down my little banner in the background. I'm sure they will again. And it's just messy behind it. So I got by the way, I have a God of War banner coming in eventually that I might have set up just because I think it might look really cool. I might do that too. So anyway, I keep getting totally sidetracked. I'm going to say this with confidence. You ready? Again, and don't hold me to this, but I'm just saying it because it's what I believe. Sony has built a new studio, just like Microsoft did with the Initiative. The difference is, to whereas Microsoft was, they announced their new studio being built, the Initiative, like literally before it was even built. That's why we had to wait 2 years to find out what they were working on. Sony did not announce it, and they will not announce it until they're ready to show a game off alongside of it. The studio that they built is based in San Diego, and they have moved a lot of their talent around, some from Naughty Dog, seemingly quite a few from Naughty Dog, but I'm sure others from other studios as well, to form a new team, a new initiative, basically. We don't know what the name of the studio is going to be. It could just be Sony San Diego Team 2. I'm sure it's going to have some type of interesting name. But what this team is tasked with doing, and we now know this, We now know this for sure, thanks to a LinkedIn profile. It's worth noting, by the way, if you're wondering why Sony hasn't announced this, it's because the reality of the situation is at any point, Sony could shut the team down. If they feel like it's just not working the way they wanted it to and it's not coming together, they will be forced. Maybe they feel like they have no choice but to shut it down. Um, and hopefully that doesn't happen, but that's one of the reasons why Sony isn't announcing it yet. They don't want to make the mistake of announcing something and then regretting it because they have no choice but to shut it down and then leave everybody disappointed. If they're creating a studio behind the scene and it just doesn't work, I said that wrong. If they're creating a studio behind the scenes and it just doesn't work and they have to shut it down, the fact that it was never officially announced, no harm, no foul. But make no mistake, this is a AAA team. And what's interesting about this AAA team is not only are they getting a lot of different talent pulled to them, and I'm sure they're hiring talent as well from different, no, I don't think God of War is going to get delayed. We did just talk about that. But the reason why I'm confident saying this is basically an organic AAA team that's being built from the ground up is because they exist, but they're working on existing franchises. That's what this team supposedly was tasked with doing. This was actually revealed where the concerning part comes from, guys, is this was actually revealed, I believe, by a developer who actually left the studio. Recently, we found out that a couple of these developers who were working at the studio, they actually left the studio. And they kind of made it sound like what they were trying to do didn't work out. Now, that's just pure speculation, but that's kind of what they said. But I do think that the team still exists. For all we know, it could have been shut down. We're gonna have to keep an eye out to see if there's more job listings and postings. But this developer did confirm that the reason why this team was built, it's a AAA team, it was tasked with working on existing PlayStation franchises. Now, it's been speculated for a long time that that franchise is Uncharted. And do you guys know of the individual on Twitter, and I believe he's on the Reset Era forums as well, called Shinobi? He's kind of like well known to sometimes have inside information, and he has been incredibly reliable in the past. He doesn't give it too often, but when he does, it's known to be reliable. I was made aware of the fact, and I forget where I saw this from. I don't know if it was from Mystic or it was another PlayStation content creator. I was made aware of the fact that apparently a while ago, when we were talking about this team, the job postings were coming out, he pretty much made it clear that, yeah, they're tasked with continuing Uncharted because Uncharted is a massive IP for Sony. It's a huge moneymaker, and they have an Uncharted movie coming out. They're going to continue it, probably just not with Nathan Drake, but they're going to continue something within the Uncharted universe, maybe with his daughter or something, or his brother. And then recently, I don't know if it was recently, but he did kind of update that. And he came back and he basically said, I wouldn't read too much into it. And so this has led to further speculation that one of two things: either this studio isn't working out and unfortunately Sony had to shut it down, which is an unfortunate reality that could be what happened, or they were trying to continue Uncharted and it wasn't working out. So now they're going to try to continue with a different game. Any of these possibilities are likely, we have to be careful with this San Diego studio because it has not been officially revealed. I'm much more confident in the second unannounced San Diego game because now, not San Diego, Santa Monica game, because that was officially revealed through a job posting that they clearly were like, yeah, they put it out there for everybody to see. It's also worth noting on Twitter. Do you guys follow Corey Barlog on Twitter, or you see his response? Anytime God of War is mentioned and he responds, he says, never heard of it. It's like his famous catchphrase now. Corey Barlog, God of War, never heard of it. In my opinion, he is very obviously trying to convey that he's not directly involved with the next God of War. If you go back to January 1st, 2020, yeah, I know, that's over a year ago, he put out a tweet and he said, I want to start the new year with this tweet. I'm paraphrasing his tweet where he said, Eric Williams, I believe was the name. I also could be wrong about the name, but I believe he tweeted out, Eric Williams, remember that name. He's going to be very important. Eric Williams worked on, I think, combat design for God of War 2, as well as the most recent God of War. I'm pretty sure there's a reason why he said that. Okay, I'm pretty sure it's because there's a good chance he may be the one directing the next God of War, or at least playing a vital role in it, right? People forget these things that Cory Barlog has said and done, and when he says, never heard of it, I quote tweeted VGC because VGC was reporting on this job listing for the second secret project, and I quote tweeted it, and I said, this time, and I, tweeted at Cory Barlog. I said, this time Cory Barlog has heard of it, because I'm trying to make it clear that, yes, like you haven't heard of God of War because you're not working on God of War Ragnarok. You're working on a secret second project. This second secret project is the one that's being referenced directly in this job posting, which is why everybody's making a big deal about it. And he did respond. And he said, who is Cory Barlog? With an upside down smiley face. So, take it for what you will, but am I crazy for thinking that that's his way of subtly confirming that what I said is true? I don't know. Maybe. I was just happy and surprised to see he actually acknowledged me in my existence, which was nice. So, yeah, pretty crazy stuff there, guys. It seems that Sony has some big things going on behind the scenes. I am more interested in learning about this secret San Diego team more so than the second Santa Monica project, because I want to know what's going on with this team. I want to know, like, are things not working out behind the scenes? Are they going to have to shut down this studio and not even, they couldn't get it off the ground? Because that would be depressing. I want to know about it, because once we officially hear about it from Sony, then we know, okay, it worked out. It's also worth noting, apparently, here's another one for you. We talked about this. You guys ever hear The Getaway? That's a triple A game series. It's not a GTA clone. People think it is. It's not. It's its own like action adventure game. But it was inspired by GTA to some extent. Apparently, Sony London is working on a big title as well. People have thought, oh, they're working on a VR title. I think it's pretty clear by now that Sony isn't they're not abandoning VR. I think they're just pretty much done supporting the first iteration of VR. Going forward, their focus is going to be on VR 2, but they have made it clear that the next iteration of VR is a ways off. And I think that's because they have to wait for the technology. And they have to keep a price point in mind. VR, I'm thinking we're going to hear about it the earliest 2022. I don't think it's releasing until 2023. So, London Studio, they are also putting out job listings, and we've heard a developer who used to work at Sony London. And the developer who used to work at Sony London, this was like a year ago, maybe a year and a half ago, he said the last he heard, saying Sony London are 2 minutes away from your work, that's pretty cool. The last he heard is that they were tasked with working on a big AAA game. And I don't remember if he confirmed whether it's VR or not, but that's what he said. And it wouldn't surprise me if Sony's like, guys, like we tried to have you make a AAA game in the past with The Getaway, and you remember that game 8 Days, which was canceled, another attempt. I think they're going to come back in the AAA space. Like, I think basically they're like, all right, we're going to give Sony London the opportunity that we gave Sony Bend. Sony gave Sony Bend the opportunity to make their dream game, their dream AAA game with a AAA budget, a AAA development team, and we got Days Gone. I think Sony's going to do the same thing for Sony London, as well as other studios as well that have the potential to make a AAA game. Because here's the thing. There's a couple other things I do want to mention as well for you guys to understand why there's probably a lot of truth in what I'm saying, or at least it makes a lot of sense, maybe more so than some might realize. The first is that Sony realized during the course of the PlayStation 4 generation. I mean, let me ask you, you guys already know this for those who've been following the PlayStation 4. What worked for Sony during the what are we in the ninth generation of consoles now? During the eighth generation of consoles, what worked mostly for Sony? Big triple A mega hit games with the highest quality, the biggest budgets. Who has made it clear that that's what they're going to do with this next generation? The head of PlayStation, Jim Ryan. He said that they are doing more. That's one of the reasons why they said they had to increase the price of their games, is because they're increasing the overall budget of these games. Okay? You look at that. Here's another factor that people miss out on, that they don't realize. The tremendous success of the PlayStation 4, and specifically a lot of these big PlayStation 4 exclusives, they have found such huge success that it has literally allowed Sony going into this generation with the PS5 to take more risks than ever before. Okay? That's what people need to understand. Going into the PS4 generation, Sony had no choice but to play it safe because they had to make a comeback because their back was against the wall with the PS3, and they wanted to make sure not to mess anything up. It's like a house of cards that they were afraid of collapsing with the launch of the PS4. And they continued to build that house of cards up even further with the PlayStation 4 generation with their big exclusive games, until eventually it transformed. It's no longer a house of cards that can just easily be knocked down. This is like a castle now, with a moat around it, basically. That's what this is now. And Sony feels extremely confident in taking more risks and allowing their teams to do more things. And basically, they have more room for failure now. And that's a good thing, because the fact that they can bank on sequels such as God of War Ragnarok, Horizon Forbidden West, Spider-Man 2, and others, like another Uncharted potentially, that's allowing more room, much more breathing room for these studios to just spread their wings and get more creative and take bigger chances on unproven studios to see, can we grow you into a big AAA studio? Think about how all of the studios like Sucker Punch and Naughty Dog and Guerrilla Games, think about how they started and how Sony grew those studios. They're still doing that. They're still doing that. And more studios over time are going to join the ranks of the Guerrilla Games, of the Naughty Dogs, of the Sony Santa Monica's, of the, whatever, insert big AAA studio that's, has tremendous prestige surrounding them. And so this is exciting. Like, this is exciting because this is not the approach that Microsoft is taking. Okay. Just to make it clear, Microsoft is taking a different approach. Oyakurumi saying, damn, bro, PlayStation, you doing big things. It makes Xbox look like hangnail. Yeah, dude, Xbox is not doing it. Xbox is about volume more so than quality. I do think that Xbox cares more about quality than they did before, but make no mistake, quality is something that Sony specializes in, and they understand this, and they take it very seriously. Sony takes quality more seriously than Microsoft does, period. And because of that, we are going to see Sony here's what I want to tell you. As crappy as it is that Sony did increase the price of their games, there is a silver lining to it. That silver lining is pretty simple, and that is because they're going to be asking more money. And see, this is where, when Microsoft announced that they were going to double the price of Xbox Live, one thing I failed to mention when I was talking about that is Microsoft did not offer anything more. Everything that they already offered stayed exactly the same. Nothing changed, but they want double the money. Not only is Sony not doubling the price of their games, it's a $10 increase. I mean, again, I know in some regions it's a little bit more expensive, which does suck. But the one silver lining is that higher price tag. That is what allows us to hold Sony accountable even more so. And they understand that. At least they should. Sony should be aware of the fact, and I'm sure they are, that, well, if we're going to ask for more money for our games, then we need to make sure the quality is there. And if that means giving the game more time, if that means not giving the game a release date and basically only giving it a release date until it matters, Cyberpunk, or until it's finished, then that's what they do. But Sony fears the day. They fear the day, and I hope this day never comes, and I don't think it will. They fear the day that they charge $70 for a low quality, half-assed, broken game. They fear the day, especially now after seeing what happened with Cyberpunk 2077. Now, you could argue, well, what about Returnal? Shouldn't they be nervous that they're overpricing Returnal? Yes, but they have to experiment. And this is a matter of faith in some ways. Like, do we have faith that what Housemarque is creating with Returnal is actually going to be a proper AAA game that's going to feel like it's, the price tag is justified? Do we have faith that Sony would not overcharge for a game that just simply isn't worth that amount of money? The market will speak and Sony will learn. If Returnal, and this is a big if, because I'm not anticipating it, but if Returnal comes out and it's just like, this is not worth $70. I know when it comes to Godfall, I see you mentioning that, Sean. Godfall, I don't think was Sony's choice. That was, I think, just them basically signing. That was like a bad signing deal. You know what I mean? Like, they thought maybe, oh, this will be a good game to have at the launch. It'll be great. And then I think they realized, like, okay, we made a mistake on that one. That's not from a Sony first party. But, if Returnal comes out and the majority of PlayStation fans collectively come together and come to the consensus that this isn't worth $70, we need to make Sony aware of that. Like, we need to let them know this isn't worth $70. So they know that when they get a game that has the same size, similar size, scale, and scope of Returnal, you can't charge $70 for that. You got to charge $50 at the most, preferably $40. But we don't know yet. We don't know until we play the game. So it will be an experiment. Ratchet and Clank, I think, will definitely be worth $70. I think there's going to be a lot of content there. A lot of these other games that Sony has coming, I'm not worried about. I think Returnal's really the only one where it's like, is this going to be a $70 game? But that's the silver lining here. Like I'm trying to say, guys, is that, that high price tag is just, it's going to force Sony. It's going to force them to ensure that they meet a certain quality standard, because if they do not, they know they're going to get crushed for it. I don't know what the hell Microsoft was thinking, doubling the price of Xbox Live. Like, the only thing I can think is they thought that, there's going to be some backlash, but it won't be that bad. It's like, well, you thought, right? You thought. So yeah, there's just, one last thing as well, just because I'm on a roll here. One last thing as well that I want to remind you guys of, like why we should be very excited and why I am confident, why I'm so confident in telling you that Sony has so much they're going to be announcing and revealing. They're going to have so many games this generation. Another reason I'm very confident in that, because a lot of people think that like, oh, MBG, I can't listen to that guy. Every time I do, I'm disappointed. Well, I mean, I'll admit I've overextended my reach, certainly, in some cases. But in this case, I feel very confident. And I don't say this as in you should believe me 100%. Come to your own conclusion. But I'm just going to remind you, aside from everything else I just listed, one of the things with the PS5 that Mark Cerny made very clear in 2020 and that we're already seeing, one of Sony's main priorities, their engineers, when they were constructing the PS5, was to make game development as simple, easy, and streamlined as they possibly could. That's another reason why we're going to see God of War Ragnarok in 2021. That's another reason why a lot of these games are going to come sooner than you think. That's another reason why we were able to get Miles Morales literally like less than 2 years, right? Practically. And it's why we're going to get Spider-Man 2 sooner than you think. At this point, it's not a matter of development timelines. They're very important and they're critically important. And Sony is obviously on top of them, as is Microsoft. But I think it's more about balance. It's like a balancing act. Like I think Sony is more strategically thinking about when should we release this game, not so much about we need this game to be ready at this time because we need to release it at this time. I don't think it's about that. Okay, did you guys remember hearing the rumors where Demon Souls was ready for PS4, right? And I'm sure Ratchet, well, I don't know about Ratchet and Clank. I think that game was designed around the PS5, obviously, but Horizon, okay? Do you guys remember hearing apparently games like Demon Souls and Horizon, they were targeting a PS4 release for 2020, but then they got pushed back because Sony was like, we don't need them right now. Like, look at the game. Like, if we release Horizon and Demon Souls for PS4 in 2020, alongside Ghost of Tsushima and The Last of Us Part 2 and Final Fantasy, that's just too much. That's too much, man. Let's save this. I'm telling you. They have a lot. Sony has a lot. Microsoft has a lot, but Sony has a lot too. Josh Z, you're saying, do you think Nintendo is a combination of both Sony and Microsoft's approaches? It's hard to say. Honestly, I think Nintendo is more in line with Sony, much more so than Microsoft. Microsoft, to be honest, I feel is like they're kind of doing their own thing. And I think because of that, they're at risk of like what we saw yesterday, like them just making everybody mad by making just a very dense, boneheaded move. That's very obviously a bad move. But I think Nintendo is more in line with Sony than Microsoft. iSiler18, you're saying Ratchet and Clank is probably the only game so far that can run on PS5 only. That SSD is literally a part of the gameplay. Yeah, I think if Sony said to Insomniac, we need you to get this game up and running on the PS4, I think it would require more development time because they would have to kind of rework the game on PS4. There's always the chance as well that if Sony really wanted to, they could have separate teams. It's just very risky to do that. So a good example is this. Let's just use Ratchet and Clank as an example. If Sony absolutely felt it necessary to release Ratchet and Clank on the PS4, they probably could have had a second team. They could have hired out a second team, or they maybe could have got a smaller team within Insomniac to basically make a PS4 version, which would be more costly. It would take up more development time, and it would take up more development resources. But in turn, they could get a PS4 version. But the reason why that's risky is not only for just all the reasons I mentioned, but there's a chance they could screw it up. There's a chance we could see a situation where it's like obvious that, oh, the PS4 version of Ratchet and Clank is literally a completely different game and it's terrible. You know what I mean? We've seen that happen. Do you guys remember with the PS4 and the PS3 and the Xbox One and the Xbox 360? We saw that happen multiple times with third-party games where there was just two different development teams. You remember wasn't Titanfall, the original one, on the 360, and it was just not good at all. But I don't think Sony's going to do that. The Hatsuma, you're saying, see the huge jump for PS5 versions UK this week. I'm not sure what you're saying there. I don't know if you're talking about the PS5 becoming more widely available, maybe, if that's what you're talking about, unless I read that wrong. I've been talking for a long time. I'm starting to lose my mind here a little bit. There is one other topic. I'm literally just gonna rush through this topic because I don't have too much to say about it. And then we're gonna do a quick Q&A because it's been a while since I've done a Q&A with you guys. You're asking when do I expect Ratchet and Clank to release? I'm thinking May. I think May is when it's going to release. I could see it being an April release as well. But I think Sony is waiting, honestly. Just to say this really quick as well. I think Sony is legitimately kind of waiting to see what Microsoft does. And they're waiting to find out more about Microsoft's plans for this year. They're waiting to find out, just like last year, what secret surprise announcements What game announcements does Microsoft have planned for this year? Do we need to be ready for it? Do we need to take it more seriously? Because, guys, listen, where there's smoke, there's fire. All throughout 2020, do you guys remember we were hearing, and I believe it fully, that's one of the reasons why Sony was trying to push back their second event, or just their event in general, was because they wanted Microsoft to go first. They realized Microsoft wasn't going to go first, or they did go first, and they screwed it up. Then they had their big event, but one of the things that Sony was like preparing for in a big way in 2020 was combating Halo. Like, Sony was convinced that Halo was going to be a juggernaut they had to contend with at the launch of their new console. And the rumor has it, I don't know how true it is, they have a massive God of War demo, like full-blown demonstration, like a 10 to 15 minute demonstration that is like mind-blowingly visually impressive, ready to compete against Halo. But what happened was Microsoft showed off Halo, and it was a huge disappointment and letdown, and everybody was kind of laughing at it, thanks to Craig, and it just clearly wasn't ready. And Sony literally was like, oh, I guess we can save this then. Basically they had a card ready to play to counter, and they realized we don't have to counter anything. Like, Microsoft just punched themselves in the face. They didn't touch us, you know what I mean? So they're saving that card for when Microsoft maybe gets it together and they do try to strike Sony, you know what I mean? And land a hit. So I do believe that. And so that's why I think Sony is still mostly in that waiting mode, man. Like, Sony is still going to do what they have to do to sell PS5s and keep their community as happy as they can. But they still are, especially after the Bethesda acquisition, they're still waiting, like, okay, we need to be ready. We need to be ready for what Microsoft may have. Because even though we all laugh and are like, oh, Xbox, you're never going to get it together. Like, no, they will at some point, and they will have a big announcement, and Sony's going to have to be ready for that. And that's good. We want to see Sony stay on their toes that way. Siler, you're saying the complaint I'm hearing about $70 games, third-party titles like COD, and that awful NBA game are $70 on Xbox as well. Eventually, every game will be $70. Yeah, that's very much true, Siler. I think like a lot of people don't realize that this $70 price tag, it's going to be the new norm. It is. It's not every game is going to be there right away, but that's just how it's going to be, and that's not a bad thing. Ultimately, I mean, it is for our wallets, but it's good because these game prices going up, I'm telling you, like, it's going to make it easier than ever before to hold these publishers accountable for quality and content. That's just the way it is. So we can at least look forward to that. Anyway, the last topic I have before we move on to the Q&A, Resident Evil 4 Remake. I need to read this real quick. This is coming from Nebel, I don't know how you say it, Nebel on Twitter. And, apparently there's some interesting development news about this game. And I do think there's a chance, potentially, just want to make it clear that Resident Evil 4 Remake could be a timed PlayStation exclusive. I only say that because apparently Sony has went to every publisher and was willing to pay like any amount to secure exclusives. Resident Evil 4 was originally Nintendo GameCube exclusive, and then it was like a big deal when it came to PS2, and I think it probably sold best on PS2. This is a big title. It's going to be a next-gen title only, I believe. And I think, we see the marketing rights that Sony has with Resident Evil Village. They got an exclusive demo. I could see that being one of the big-time exclusives that Sony was able to secure. We'll learn about that in the future, though. But apparently VGC reports, and I'm reading his tweet directly, Nebel, Twitter. VGC reports that M2's role in the development of Resident Evil 4 Remake has been significantly reduced. M2, those are the people, the development team that worked on Resident Evil 3 Remake, not Capcom's main team. So it says Capcom Division 1 has now taken over the project. The report mentions that there have been disagreements between Capcom's M2. The former pushed for more changes, while the latter prefers a more one-to-one remake because of the backlash to RE3 Remake. So, It goes on to say that VGC also states that Resident Evil 4 Remake is being potentially rebooted now and is slated for 2023. So, unless I'm reading this wrong, guys, maybe you can tell me. That's a good thing, right? Pretty much they're saying that they want Resident Evil 4 is it Capcom that wants Resident Evil 4 to be more in line with a one-to-one remake of the original, or is that the development team? I'm pretty sure that's Capcom, right? Because if I'm understanding this correctly, oh, did I maybe I did read that wrong. You're saying it's a bad thing. Capcom wants to change things. Is that correct? I just want to make sure I have this right and I'm understanding this correctly. Because I don't know, I don't know how I feel about the matter. I was right. You're saying I was right. Okay. I'm assuming it's Capcom that wants to keep it the same because Resident Evil 3 Remake was criticized. Capcom acknowledges criticism, so it wouldn't make sense that the developer it would make sense that the developer would want to make more changes more so than Capcom, and that the developer would be the one to turn to Capcom and be like, "We want to make these changes. We think it'll benefit the game." And Capcom's like, "No, MBG, you are wrong. They just want to add more content." Well, you know what? At this point, I don't think it matters because, regardless, apparently development of this game is being slightly rebooted. That's always concerning because it just means that like this is not working out the way they thought it would. And I'm gonna be honest with you guys, like if there's one game that needs to, if it's going to be remade, like it needs to absolutely knock it out of the park and nail it. It's Resident Evil 4. If they screw that up, oh boy, that's going to be a problem for Capcom and Resident Evil fans. Resident Evil 4 is one of my favorite games of all time. And so, to be honest, okay, you're saying Capcom wants to change things. The other team wanted to make a one-to-one remake like Demon's Souls. Oh, damn. Okay, I didn't know that. Yeah, I read that wrong then. I wonder why. Like, I wonder why Capcom would want to do that. If they saw that Resident Evil 3 didn't do well and it was mainly because people felt like there were too many changes, why would they think that it's a good idea to implement more changes to a game that is going to be way more important than Resident Evil 3? Either way, to be honest, where I stand on this, um, I don't think I would be as upset as most other people if they do implement more changes. I only say that because I feel like if it's that bad and it's like, wow, they kind of ruined it, then I would just go play Resident Evil 4. You know what I mean? Like, and play it the way it was intended to be played. And if they, because if they do make changes, and who knows, maybe those changes could be really, really great. um, but I do understand why people would be like, uh-oh, like they want to make changes. Thank you, Josh Z, so much for upgrading your membership to the Play Has No Limits tier. That really helps me out a lot. You guys have really been, you made a huge, this podcast and the support you guys have shown during it has been a huge difference maker for me at a time like this. I really got to tell you. So thank you guys so much. But yeah, Resident Evil 4 Remake, that'd be crazy. I mean, let me ask you guys, I want to ask you guys in chat, do you think there's a chance Resident Evil 4 Remake could be a timed PS5 exclusive? Is there a chance? Or do you think that that's one of those games where it's just very unlikely that that would be exclusive to any platform? Let me know. And while you guys do that, I'm going to enable slow mode on the chat because I want to do a quick Q&A. I'm not going to have it last too long because you're saying unlikely. No, Capcom doesn't need money like that. I mean, what? Didn't Capcom make like, I don't know. They had that whole Street Fighter thing going on. So I don't know. Maybe. But PlayStation might get the marketing rights. Yeah, I could see them. I could see them certainly having the marketing rights. All right, guys. We're gonna do a little bit of a Q&A before I head out. This podcast definitely went longer than I expected, but you know, it made it easier to do so because you guys really helped cheer me up a lot. So thank you for that. But any questions you want to ask, feel free. Unless there are no questions, there might not be any questions, or might not be able to do a Q&A because you guys don't have any. Um, can you cover the Neo 2 remaster in February? I might try to. Yeah, I've been seeing that. I haven't played any of the Neo games, but it seems that what they've done to remaster it for the PS5 is pretty impressive. So I might try to cover it a little bit if I'm able to. MBG, have you ever played the PlayStation Vita? I'm thinking about getting one. I have not. I was a little late to that. I had a PSP back in the day. I was never really interested in the Vita. I would certainly be interested in a new handheld from Sony of some sort, but I never really got a Vita and really got into it. MBG, Patreon or GoFundMe for you. I mean, look, like, I've seen a lot of people mention that, and I won't lie, like, if things get bad enough, like, I may have no choice because, the medical bills are going to come in and they're going to be overwhelming. But I want to believe that I can just keep things sustainable here on the channel and that I won't have to do something like that because I mean, look, like, you guys, what you did today is a huge deal for me. And, I like what I want is to be able to hopefully take control of the situation through content creation, growing the channel, and continuing to do what I love here, which is create content for you guys and celebrate gaming and PlayStation and all that stuff. So, hopefully it doesn't come down to that. Let me see. Ubisoft had the audacity to remake Sands of Time looking like that. Yeah. Yeah, that's rough. That is rough. How big of a difference do you expect with Halo Infinite, and when do you expect it'll launch? The difference I expect is mainly a visual one, and I'm thinking it's going to be a pretty big visual difference because I think at this point they realize the way Halo Infinite looked when they showed it was unacceptable, so they need to make sure that it looks a lot better when it comes out. Have you seen the Ninja Theory dev diary? What do you think about the graphics and tech from Ninja Theory? I think it looks promising. I think Ninja Theory could maybe be that studio that like puts out a game visually that's like, okay, now they're competing a little bit with what Sony's doing and the way their games look. I just would like to hear and see more of Hellblade 2. I feel like it's been too long. Any news on Lost Souls Aside and Project Awakening? No news on either, especially Project Awakening. I have no idea what's going on with that game. But have you tried out the new RE8 demo? It looks really good, so I suggest checking it out. Yeah, I'm going to definitely have to download it. The next time I get a chance to play my PS5, I'm definitely going to check it out. I really want to see what it looks like. I've been hearing really good things. Hitman 3 is just one example of where the Xbox Series X has higher graphic settings. I think the devs intentionally made it that way. I don't think this is going to be an established trend going forward. Well, anything is possible. We're just going to have to look and see what the trend ends up being. Right now, to be honest, the trend that I'm seeing is there's no big difference in favor of either console. Regardless of who has the slight edge, the trend I'm seeing is negligible differences. And that's a good thing, at least in my opinion. We'll see if that trend continues. MBG, not a big fan of Ghost, but the sequel was confirmed recently. Yeah, the Ghost sequel is pretty much confirmed by the job listings that we've seen. For sure. 100% that game is getting a sequel. And oh my god, can you imagine what Ghost of Tsushima 2 is going to look like on a PS5? The one thing I would like to see improved in Ghost of Tsushima is the animations a little bit. Because like when you play like a Naughty Dog game, like the smoothness of the animations, they're not as rigid. I would like to see that improved with Ghost of Tsushima 2. I would just like to see the animations be like the combat's very smooth, but like a lot of the other animations, they're just a little bit more rigid. You know what I mean? How about that Godzilla versus Kong trailer? I haven't seen it yet. I've been missing a lot of stuff recently. Will you play the Medium on PC? I know you're a big fan of Silent Hill. Actually, no, that might be a game I play on Xbox. Although, Can you tell me? I'm pretty sure that might be a Series X and S exclusive, so I might have to wait until I can eventually get a Series X. What are Naughty Dog working on? Do you think God of War is PS5 exclusive 2022? God of War, I think, might be a PS5 exclusive, but I think it's going to be 2021. And Naughty Dog is currently working on, they're working on the multiplayer for The Last of Us, which I'm excited for, but they're also getting started on their next big project, and I have no idea what it could be. When do you think more PS5s will be in stock? I was trying to get one before Returnal. I mean, I want to say that they'll be available by like March, but I think, to be honest, I think like an abundance of PS5 stock isn't going to happen until April or May. I really do think that, because we still haven't heard anything. So I think they're like building them now and trying to really ramp up production. What are the chances of Sony buying FromSoft? Probably not high, if I'm being completely honest. That'd be a great buy. It would make a lot of sense, but probably not high. Oh, Yakarumi, did you hear about The Wolf Among Us 2 coming out, my guy? I did. That's a game I am certainly excited for. I loved The Wolf Among Us, and so feels like it's been so long, man. But yeah, when that game drops, I'm all over it. Both consoles were running Hitman 3 at ultra textures. Shadows was medium on PS5 and high on the Series X. Oh, is that really the only difference? It's been hard to keep up with it all. If that's the only difference, then wow, that's even less significant than, that's even less than I thought. MBG, do you think we'll get a Ninja Gaiden 4 someday? Honestly, I don't know. I can't say either way. What do you think Platinum's next game reveal? Babylon's Fall? To be honest, there's just some things I'm not like in the loop with. I have absolutely no idea what Platinum's next game is going to be. The Last of Us 2 has reached 255 Game of the Year awards. This is a huge success for Sony and Naughty Dog. How do you predict the future of the franchise? To be honest, that's the big unknown. I don't know if if Naughty Dog is gonna continue The Last of Us from a story perspective. Like, they're doing a multiplayer game, and I think that game's gonna be, whether we like it or not, a game as a service, which I'm totally cool with. I think Sony needs that, literally, like at this point. So I think The Last of Us will continue in that way. I just don't know how likely it is that basically it's like they're starting work on The Last of Us 3. They might be. I mean, when you look at the success of The Last of Us Part 2, it does tell you that's probably what they're going to do, but I hope to see a new IP. A new Pirates game from Sucker Punch. Yeah, that would be interesting. Brandon Chad Perez, thank you so much, man, for the generous donation. I really appreciate that. You're saying, hey, man, I just wanted to say that I'm not sure how long I can remain a member as I recently lost my job. I'm really sorry to hear that, dude. Geez, thank you for the donation. That's terrible news. You say I'll try my hardest to still support you as much as I can, especially during your time of need. Stay strong, brother. Well, you know what, man? That is beyond grateful of you. I make sure you take care of yourself first, man, because losing your job during a time like this, losing your job at all, but especially a time like this, is terrible news. So, you got to take care of your own first, man. But I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. Really appreciate all the support. Even, dude, like, look, I know that not everybody can support me in that way, and I do not expect that. Just watching the videos, letting the ads play if you don't have YouTube Premium, hitting the like button, leaving a comment, those things help a lot. Like, those things are just as helpful. So if you can do that, that's more than enough for me, man. You think Telltale will make a Batman season 3? Probably not. I think it's possible. I have to imagine that those games probably did pretty well for them. MBG, get a high quality camera, a nice PlayStation themed background set up. I think you have potential to be as big as Yang. Yeah, that'd be crazy. MBG, Yang Ye's huge, dude. I've been following Yang Ye like since the beginning. I've been following him since the early Metal Gear days, man. And yeah, he has grown tremendously. He's like pretty much one of the highest up there when it comes to YouTube gaming. But yeah, That's the thing is like I need some recommendations from other YouTube content creators on the best type of like highest quality webcam to buy. Because that's the problem with the one I have. It's terrible. Even right now, even for as small as this image is, you see all the fuzz. It's so fuzzy. It's just not a good quality. Like my mic quality, I think is perfectly fine, but the camera, yeah. Because I would like to start going on camera more. You guys seem to like that, and there's been a positive response from it. So, NBG, great podcast. Thank you so much, man. All right, I'll answer, I think, one more here. What is Ben Studio's new IP? I don't think Ben Studio is working on a new IP. I think they are working on Days Gone 2. I think they're like doubling and tripling down on that game. And did I see the article that the Metal Gear voice actors are reuniting? I did see that. I just don't want to jump to any conclusions. All right, look, is it a coincidence? Is it a coincidence that we've been hearing rumor after rumor after rumor of a Metal Gear remake of some sort, possibly being a PS5 exclusive, and then now in 2021 we're hearing that the entire, what is it, the voice cast of the original Metal Gear Solid reuniting, maybe all of the games reuniting? Do I think it has anything to do with that? I think it's possible. I think it's possible. I'm not going to assume that it does. But is it a coincidence? I don't know. I don't know. I guess we'll have to wait and see. We'll have to wait and see. Thoughts on the new BioShock from a new studio? To be honest, I've never played BioShock. I know that probably sounds crazy to some people. That's probably it's another game franchise I haven't experienced, but I probably should. I will be interested to see what it is and how people react to it. Do you have a DSLR with an HDMI output? I don't think so, no. Is that what I should look into? That probably sounds like something I should look into. Yeah, I'm not like too familiar with the camera work or anything like that. I had to learn all about audio and audio quality and stuff like that with the channel. And video was just not something that was part of it. So yeah, we're doing the Q&A now, Devil Shooter. Actually, I was just about to end the podcast now because my voice is starting to go, and I gotta say this podcast has turned out crazy good. You're saying, see all, glad to see you're doing okay under the circumstances. MG, stay positive. Yeah, I'm trying. You guys certainly helped out with that today. I didn't know what to expect with the podcast. Again, things on the channel are not ideal. I hate to say that. Don't get me wrong. This podcast is like the brightest spot I've seen in this entire month on this channel, and that's because of you guys making that a reality. Things right now on the channel are not ideal. I do fault myself for that a little bit, mainly because I just, my mindset is not all there. So I know that just having the distraction of, serious personal matters, it makes it difficult to fully focus in on content creation the way I would like to, or the way I would. But I'm hoping that things pick up. It's a new year. Didn't start off the new year the way I thought, I would like, and the way I thought. But I feel like, and I do feel like it can only get better from here. And honestly, the support that you guys brought to the podcast today gives me just so much damn hope about the future of the channel and the direction we're going in. So, with that being said, absolutely massive thank you to all of you who took time out of your day to show up to the podcast, listen to me rant and go on, especially those of you who really came through for me today and donated super chats, became members. That was just awesome. And I can't, words can't express how thankful I am for that. I really needed that. And that's going to help a lot. So my last request is before you head out, just hit that like button. We're over 600 likes, which is awesome. And so look forward to any content that I put out this week. I'm hoping that there's going to be some news, some things picking up. I'll try my best. And I'm going to have to, guys, if you could leave me in the chat right now or leave me a comment, any camera recommendations, webcams, I try to stick with a webcam. I don't think my setup right now could have like a legit camera, but maybe that's what I need. So leave me any suggestions for high quality webcams or cameras that I could look to upgrade to, because maybe we could start going on camera more often, and I could try to really, that could be something I really flesh out this year on the channel. But all right. Shout out to Devil Shooter 126M, or just Devil Shooter 126, whatever you want to be called. Appreciate that, man. I appreciate you being here consistently to do the timestamps. You really do like take a lot of work off my shoulders for doing that, and you're doing a great service to the entire community here. So thank you so much, man. Everybody, show Devil Shooter some love. And yeah, that's gonna do it for episode 46 of the podcast. Hopefully things go smoothly this week. Hopefully we get some even better news this week, and hopefully we will be back here, same place, same time next week with episode 47. But until next time, guys, take care.